Howdy, everybody. It's just me right now. Yvonne's tired, so if she wants to come in, she can. I'm allowing it. So currently 5-2 Indiana. I haven't watched a full basketball game in, well, it's been a while. I'll try not to change the channel. I'll do my best. Oh no. I don't even know how I would do a review of a basketball game because like it couldn't be with notes. And I mean, it'd be tough. Like with hockey, I feel like I can describe the action. Basketball, there's so many points and so many shots, and so it would be very difficult. So I saw this. Todd Nelson's left the Hershey Bears as coach to become an assistant coach with the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's a good pickup by the Penguins. Nelson's a good coach. Hershey's been a very good team for years. So yeah, smart move on their part. Oh, game seven. Game seven is absolutely fantastic. That's the reason why I was like, yeah, I can watch a game seven, especially since it's Oklahoma City and Indiana, like two franchises that. I mean, I don't think we ever see this matchup again, so should be fun. Game 6 of the Calder Cup is tomorrow. Abbotsford landed in Charlotte today. I really hope Abbotsford bounces back for game 6. They've got it. They've got to pass the puck better. They've got to find a way to break down that Charlotte defense. They did not do a very good job of breaking down the Charlotte defense that last game. It got to overtime because of Shilovs, really. Hockey question. 2023 to 2025 Panthers versus 2020 to 2022 Lightning. Who wins a best of 7? Panthers. Panthers have been more impressive. Tampa was fantastic during that run, but I think Florida's been better. I've even been thinking about doing a power rankings of Stanley Cup champions, ranking the entire run during the era of the salary cap era. So from 2006 through until now. But I know I did a power rankings for Stanley Cup champions a few years back, so I'll have to go back and look at that one. Lightning 2019 versus Bruins 2023 wins a best of 7. The Bruins would win that series, I think. I think the Bruins would win that series. Tampa didn't seem all that interested in the playoffs in 2019. I don't know that I've ever seen a team that won the President's Trophy just that lazy in the first round. They were just they didn't seem to understand just the gravity of the situation until game 4 when it was clear Columbus was going to sweep them. And then they started playing well. You think the 2022 Avalanche would beat the 25 Panthers? I'll disagree, but I understand why somebody would feel that way. I think the 2025 Panthers just ridiculous run. Absolutely ridiculous. Hey, guys wearing pink sneakers like I have for when I do the treadmill. Probably far more expensive than the runners I'm using. Although mine are, I think, Nikes. They're really good runners, too. If Charlotte comes back to win the Calder Cup, Florida Charlotte will be the first duo of NHL AHL since New Jersey Albany of '94. Yeah, and like I haven't been happy with a winner of hockey event in a very long time. It hit me last night. Okay, so I'm just not allowed to be happy with the Stanley Cup winner or a Calder Cup winner apparently either. So although I was proud of Hershey last year, but that's a little different. Watching a series where it's two teams that I don't have any kind of vested interest in, and I'm just enjoying the series for what it is. A lot of respect for the way Hershey runs things. In Seattle, no man's land. They could have really used the number one pick. I don't think so. I don't think the no man's land. Like, they pick up Mason Marchment. I think Marchment will be better for them than some people are giving him credit for. Like, I've seen people saying, "Oh, he didn't, score during the playoffs." Well, no, but there were a number of guys in Dallas that didn't play great during the playoffs. So I wouldn't hold that against him. Plus, Seattle wants to get back to the playoffs. So if Marchment's able to produce at the same rate that he did in Dallas for Seattle, they're going to be okay with him. I think he's going to help them. Yep, he started out as an Indianapolis racer, and then Peter Pocklington took over. Pocklington did some finagling too to make sure that he wasn't in the draft when Edmonton joined the National Hockey League. When I get to doing the what if videos on the Hockey Channel, I do want to do one if Gretzky was drafted, if he'd been eligible for the draft, what might have happened. So I posted today talking about how young the Hawks D-core could be next year. I think they'll be fine. They have a lot of cap space. So they have a ton of cap space. I think they will be, they'll be just fine. I think Chicago is going to be an interesting team this coming season. I would imagine they pick up at least one veteran defenseman in free agency, if not a couple. They have a lot of cap space. I think Columbus makes it into the playoffs next year. I hope so. They have the cap space to make the additions. They shouldn't have any problem finding talented players on the market on July 1st. They'll definitely be a team to watch. Islanders go back to back if they knock off Tampa in 2020 and 2021. That's a tough call because the Islanders in that case, I mean, they were the toughest challenge for Tampa. I don't know that they would have beaten Dallas in 2020. I think they probably would have beaten Montreal in 2021. But I don't think they would have beat Dallas in 2020. I think Dallas would have pulled that off. I got the new Hershey Bears jersey, Chocolate Town. I've ordered very, very little in terms of AHL jerseys over the last couple of years. The price has gone up as the Canadian dollar's dropped a bit, so it's become a little bit more expensive. And then the other issue was the last time that I ordered AHL jerseys that I had come up here, then there were duties charged on them as well, which they didn't used to charge on something like just a jersey that was, $120, $130 at the border, but they started charging duties. So it basically, I was out a lot more money. And so I decided I've got every team. I don't need these other jerseys. Like, I'd love to have the red Firebirds jersey, but I don't need it. So it's one difference between now and say 6 years ago when I was collecting jerseys. If I don't need it, I'm not as worried about getting it. Do I think Montreal will do anything for number 2 center? There's not much on the market in terms of centers. If they do, it'll be via trade. And they do have a lot of young players and a lot of draft capital to acquire a player. There may be a team looking at shedding salary for the upcoming free agency, and maybe they want to, promote somebody, and maybe Montreal could take advantage of that. I have full confidence in Kent Hughes, though. Did I see the Panthers parade today? I saw the highlights of it. I think the highlights of the parade are enough. And Florida is still really enjoying themselves. I think that's great for the team. I think it's good for the market. Obviously, I would rather have seen Edmonton win it, but I'm happy for Florida. They were the better team. No question about that. What do I think about the Suns trade today? Kevin Durant. Uh I don't really have an opinion when it comes to the basketball trades, and there's always a lot of them. I will say this, I wish we had the liberal movement in the NHL that we see in the NBA when it comes to players. I think it would be better for the league to see big names move as often as they seem to in basketball. I think it makes for a far more entertaining game when you know that big names could get moved during any offseason. I see Cena promo where he mentioned some AEW and TNA wrestlers. The pipe bomb that Cena did was entertaining. I thought it sounded more scripted than the one that CM Punk did famously all those years ago. The one CM Punk did all those years ago, I believed that was off the cuff and he just said whatever came to his mind. It felt like Cena's was meant to be a response to that, and it felt like it was more hitting those moments. And him shouting out wrestlers who are no longer with the company was something that CM Punk did in the original pipe bomb as well. So it felt like his was more to mock CM Punk's pipe bomb. And when he talks about betraying and all this, I think what he's talking about is the idea that CM Punk is willing to wrestle in Saudi Arabia when he spoke out against that years back. So I think that's what Cena was getting at there. This is going to be a high scoring game. Do I have any disagreements about the players were starting F Oiler chance? I mean, you do everything you can to get into the opponent's heads. I was in front of a guy last night that for the first two periods just kept yelling capo every 2 seconds. If you think it works, cool. I don't jump on that because I don't think it has any effect. In fact, Kakinen, I thought, had his best game of the series. So sometimes when you chant somebody's name and do that, it has the opposite effect. Barkov's making a good case for the best fan ever by the time his career's over. It's going to be, I mean, man, it's tough to go against Solani for me. For me, Teemu Solani and what he was able to do into his late 30s, that's impressive. Barkov is the best two-way forward we've ever seen out of Finland. Nice play. Nice play right off a turnover. OKC up by 2. What's he down for? What happened to him? Bolts could be active in the trade market before a draft day, or besides looking to trade off Isaac Howard, what do you think they go for in return from where? I don't know what deals they're going to make. The one issue that Tampa has is cap space. They need cap space. So any veteran player that has term that isn't a prominent player for Tampa could be on the move. They're going to want to make improvements in the offseason, and the salary cap is preventing that right now. What would have been crazier? Blue Jays Expos World Series or Raptors Grizzlies NBA Finals? Oh, that would easily be Toronto Montreal in baseball. I would have been cheering for the Expos. I have 2 Expos hats now. I miss the Expos. I'd be 100% in favor of the Expos coming back. They can't play out of the O. They can't. They just can't. So whenever I've seen, well, they can get back and play out of the O, and I've seen that suggested here and there, I'm thinking, nah, we already know that building doesn't work for a professional team, so they would need a brand new state-of-the-art baseball stadium if Montreal was going to make that work. But I really hope that at some point we get the Expos back. Who's in the basketball final? It's Indiana and Oklahoma City. So the Thunder and the Pacers. I don't really have a preference either way. It's been fun. It's been entertaining. It's been very even so far. So the winner are the fans so far. Would I rather fight off 100 rat-sized Marchands or a single Marchand-sized rat? Marchand-sized rat. Be bigger than me. I'd probably still die, but it'd be quick. Yeah, it'd be quick anyways. Montreal would probably need a retractable roof. I would say a retractable roof situation would be necessary in Montreal. because of early in the spring and then into the fall as well. Weather very similar to Toronto's, and Toronto definitely needs that roof. Does Lawson Crouse need to change the scenery? If he does, I would accept him on any team I root for. I love Lawson Crouse. I don't think Utah moves him. I'd be very surprised if Utah moved him. Yeah, the Rockies and Coors Field, it's an interesting one because I've rooted for the Colorado Rockies for a long time. Because back when I was a little kid, I rooted for the Colorado Rockies in hockey. And then, of course, they moved to New Jersey and became the Devils. But when the Colorado Rockies were the baseball team coming in, I was like, all right, this is Colorado Rockies. I want them to, and it just, they've never been a champion. And they definitely use that air, just how thin the air is, seems to make a difference. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you could put a roof on Coors Stadium. I would guess in some universe. I don't know that Colorado would have any interest. Yeah, Halliburton being out would be massive. Well, let's see this on the replay. Yeah, that hurts. Oh, yeah, you can see it give out. Yeah, it gave out on him. Jeez, yeah, that gave out on him. It's just one of those things, you know. These guys are like what, all 7 feet tall. And I'm not one either that says, "Oh, they're not as tough as hockey players," because it's completely different. The difference between hockey and basketball is huge. As a for instance, not an elegant for instance, but there are guys who come out to the meetups I have, which are street hockey, who play regular hockey, and they get blown up because they're like, "I'm not used to running. I'm used to skating. This is completely different." So that's why I can't compare NBA injuries to NHL injuries because it's completely different. Oh, rimming out. OKC up by 2. Who do I have winning? Just the fans right now. As long as this game stays nice and close. Now Siakam hits the 2 and gets the foul as well. It would be nice to see Siakam get another championship. I like Siakam. I did follow along when the Raptors went to the NBA final and won it. That was a fun run to watch, actually. That happens first. Sabres make the playoffs or Leafs making the third round. Sabres making the playoffs. And I say that because I do think the Sabres eventually have to. I would think over the next couple of years they have to. There it just doesn't make sense that they can't get there at all. So eventually I think they get there. Toronto, I'm not sure because we don't know how they're going to replace Marner. What's going to happen with Tavares? Tavares should be staying, but and then if they decide to trade Riley, Toronto could be a completely different team next season. And we don't know if they're going to be a better team or not. So we got a 18-18 tie. Nice recovery. I did root for way back when the Detroit Pistons were dominant. I rooted for Indiana anytime they played them. And of course, Indiana had that big battle with the Bulls too, right? Oh, that was easy. You can't give them a path to the net like that. Straight to the basket. All right, well, give him that shot from the key. He's probably going to score that every time. The Malice in the Palace. If you haven't seen the documentary about that on Netflix, yeah, and the documentary tells you some stuff you may not have known if you haven't seen it. That was brutal, and that's an NBA that it doesn't feel like it's like that anymore. Like the hate that teams had for each other in the 80s and 90s, that was real. Like those teams hated each other, and the games were just they were nasty, especially the Pistons. The Pistons, I was not a huge fan. Really not a big fan of a guy like Bill Laimbeer. Nope. I did not like some of the tactics. Um, I respected them in some of the results, but I was not a big fan of the tactics. Oh yeah, Ron Artest. He got into a bit of a dust up there too, right? Artest had a temper. Tampa Bay Rays being sold. Whatever it takes to get that franchise going. The Tampa Bay Rays have always been sort of mentioned as well. If a team decides to move, it's going to be them. And I always felt bad for fans of the team because they're a good team. Um, I've got a Rays hat too that I wear occasionally. I like to have the baseball hats and some of the others. I'm wearing a hockey hat right now, but I always consider it like I'm incognito. Is that the hockey guy? No, look, see, I'm wearing a hat that's baseball. Completely different guy, not me. I'd see Draymond Green compete in WWE ring one day. They do like the former athletes of other sports. WWE seems to be a big fan of that, and of course, getting eyeballs onto the product that otherwise wouldn't be watching. So if he takes the shot at it, I could see WWE being interested. Will I go to the last Abbey game if they lose Monday? How in the world would I go to the last Abbey game? Game 7's in Charlotte. I'm not going to Charlotte. No. I will not be seeing I'll be taking notes from this room here if they go to 7. I'd rather see them close it out in 6. Patiently waiting for Ghost Canadian tour dates. You and me both. I would love to see Ghost in Canada again. We saw them the one time. Yeah, Ghost was fantastic the one time we saw them. One of the most entertaining concerts I've ever seen. And now we've got 3 kids that want to go to that concert too if they come back. There you go. They almost ran out the shot clock again. OKC's got to manage that a little better, especially in a tight game. Have I ever gone to Omaha? Nope. Only places in the States I've been. Seattle. I mean, I saw a concert in Spokane. We were in Moscow, Idaho for a bit when we took a trip that way. I've been to Vegas. I've been to Los Angeles, Anaheim, and yeah, that's it. In terms of the United States, that's it. Been more places in the States than Canada, though, technically, especially since I was a little kid. I traveled across Canada when I was a little kid, but that was a very long time ago. What am I grateful for today? I am grateful that I have an audience that feels comfortable approaching me in public and saying hi, and that there are a lot of people that watch my videos daily, or they lie to me when they meet me. Either way, I'm appreciative, even if they only watch me like once a month. But I'm very, very grateful for we got food, we got our bills paid, and we're going to be traveling this summer. So I really have zero complaints at this point in time in my life. Ever seen Megadeth live? No. I don't know if there's enough Megadeth songs that I would watch live and be all excited about that I go see Megadeth. There is a concert coming to Abbotsford that I do want to go to, which is Tea Party, Headstones, and Finger 11, 3 Canadian bands, and all 3 of them I like. So I'm personally excited for that. So when I get paid by YouTube this month, I'm planning on getting a couple of tickets for myself and for Yvonne, and we're going to go see 3 bands in Abbotsford, which will be great. Night of the Comet's a great movie. You're welcome. Catherine Mary Stewart, she's fantastic. She actually answered me on social media at one point, and I've got 2 different pictures signed to me from her, and I think that's great. Catherine Mary Stewart, still probably my number 1 crush from when I was a kid. She's Regina in Night of the Comet. What did I think of Seth's heel turn? I thought they played it right. It was a slow turn. I wasn't sure if they could get the crowd to boo him. I wasn't. So adding Bronson Reed probably increased the chances of fans booing, as well as Braun Breaker. I don't think if it was Seth by himself, the fans would be booing him. I think it's because he's got this group. And now there's talk of a 4th member. It really has a 4 horseman feel to it. So if they add a 4th member, it'll be kind of a modern day 4 horsemen. But you have to add the right person. Heaven's Coming Down, good song from Tea Party. Yep. But my favorite is Sister Awake. Sister Awake's the best. That one, and they're going to do Psycho Pomp as well, which is fantastic. The River, because that's their early one. Fire in the Head. Fire in the Head's a fantastic song too. Oh, Belinda Carlisle. Yeah, she's got a new song out too. Belinda Carlisle's still singing. In fact, the Go-Go's are still playing. So I think that's kind of cool. I always liked the keyboard player in the Go-Go's. That was my favorite of the Go-Go's. What do I think the Caps and Flyers do this offseason? I don't think the Caps are going to do a lot. They don't really need to. They're coming off a first place finish, and they've got enough young players. They don't need to do much. As for the Flyers, the first goal will be drafting a center and getting some depth on the blue line in the draft. And then free agency, they've got some money. I think they'll be smart, but I think they'll add a couple of pieces to help the team improve next season. Not improve too much though. Gavin McKenna is the number 1 pick next year. He'd be an excellent addition to the Philadelphia Flyers. Do I think Night of Champions still happens in Saudi? It's going to depend on what happens between now and this coming weekend. If everything's quiet, then yes, they'll have it. If that area gets more violent, I think probably not. I'm actually surprised at the scheduling and that they didn't try to move the event and give them a different event instead. Something maybe in the fall, but it's still on as it is right now. Tampa Bay Razor being sold. Supporting them. Never supported the community, and Ghost is coming to Tampa next month. So excited to go. Yeah, Ghost's a fantastic concert. Absolutely amazing concert. When we went in Vancouver too, there was actually a dad had his son dressed up like one of the Papa. I think it was Papa Emeritus that he was dressed up as. Which had to be great. I'm sure Tobias looks out in the crowd and is probably quite happy to see that. I don't know if OKC's got it or not. It's tied at 25, which is great. And now we're in the second quarter. So it's on pace for about 100 points each, which is fantastic. Did I enjoy Cena's pipe bomb on Friday? As I mentioned earlier, I thought it was good. I didn't think it was as good as Punk's. Punk's was earth shattering. You knew that a lot of the stuff he said there probably wasn't cleared. But in this case, I think everything was cleared. I think it was more planned out than the other pipe bomb. So, yeah. How would Oklahoma City or Indy work as hockey markets, a hypothetical universe? I think Oklahoma City would work. I do. I think Oklahoma City would work. Indiana, I'm not sure with Indiana slash Indianapolis. I think there'd be more. And I do remember at one point in time, Oklahoma City having some casual interest in the National Hockey League. I think as markets go, I think they would work better than Indiana, but it's probably close between the two. Am I going to see Nine Inch Nails? Frick, I want to go see Nine Inch Nails. I really want to go see Nine Inch Nails. Then I looked at the ticket prices. I'm not going to see Nine Inch Nails. I am not spending that amount of money to see Trent Reznor and his band. I love Nine Inch Nails, but those ticket prices made me say, wow, I guess I don't love them that much. They're not a band that I just look at and say, oh, I'll spend whatever to go watch them. Nah. When I'm seeing tickets for like $250, $300, I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I'm not seeing Nine Inch Nails. What can the Caps do to get Ovi number 2? They relied a lot on their systems, but their system was broken down by Carolina. I think they need more offensive options, and I'm not sure how they're going to do that this offseason. But I think they need more offensive options. And Ovechkin does tend to struggle in the playoffs now. So they're going to need somebody who can jump in and produce the goals. Do I think the Isles find a way to trade up to get Higgins? I don't think so. I like they're going to draft Schaefer at number 1, I would think, and then I don't think there's a need for Higgins necessarily. I would not be surprised to see Higgins drop in the draft. I've seen some mock drafts where he's as low as 8th. I think he stays in the top 5, but he could slide down 8th or lower. He did not have a fantastic draft year. When I think of the latest season of Doctor Who, yeah, it's not must see TV for me anymore, and that's faded. Really, Peter Capaldi was the last Doctor that I felt like I had to see every episode when it came out, and even that there were a couple episodes I'm like, seriously, the sleep in your eye becomes a monster. Sure, okay, all right. Sleep eye monsters, and they were going to make a follow up to that. They're like, oh, we're going to follow this up. Really, the sleep in your eye becoming a monster? No, it was just stupid. The whole thing was dumb. So I think for Shooty Got was run. The scripts have been okay, but it's not must see TV anymore. And I think Doctor Who needs a complete and total reset. I think they need to start fresh. The finale, I think, was designed to try to get people talking, and it was designed to try to force BBC and maybe Disney to pick up another season of the show. Like, oh, we have to tell people what happens. I'm not sure that the person that the Doctor regenerates into at the end of the series is the Doctor. I think it's Bad Wolf. That's my guess. I think it's Bad Wolf. So, which would be a callback to Davies' run in the first place. But I think that's what it is. As an LA Kings fan, do I see Gavrikov leaving LA for greener pastures? Yeah, Gavrikov's going to make serious money this summer. I would be very surprised to see him stay with the Kings. I think he's going to cash in. You only get one chance generally to cash in. Although the caveat I would put with that is now there's a lot of talk about players wanting 2-year deals because the cap's supposed to explode over the next couple of years. So they sign a 2 or a 3-year deal now with the idea they're going to get paid a lot of money in a couple of years. If Abbotsford Canucks win, are they planning to do something in the community for the fans? I would imagine they'll do some sort of a parade if Abby wins the Calder Cup. I don't know how far that would go. I don't know how involved that would be, but I would think they'll do some kind of a parade. They'll have definitely something in the community for them. And the Abbey Canucks have been fantastic. I have no complaints about the Abbotsford Canucks whatsoever. We have season tickets through them. And like last night, we're having troubles getting the tickets to load. Yvonne found a staff member outside. He knew who we were. He got it fixed in 2 minutes. And by the time we got back to the front door, it was fixed. So the Abbey Canucks are very good. They have good customer service skills, and they have a really good organization. It would be nice to see them win. I kind of at this point consider Abbey to be separate from Vancouver. Yes, it's their farm team and everything, but Abbey, it's this different feel out here in the valley to what it is in the city with the Vancouver Canucks. Do I think CM Punk's a hypocrite, or does it even matter? A bit, but I think it's what happens a lot when it comes to wrestling and just sports in general. People will talk out against a country or against some sort of regime, but eventually there's enough money involved or there's a contract involved and they don't have a choice. So I don't begrudge them. It doesn't mean they don't mean what they say when they talk out against it. Just there's some big money involved. I get it. As the Leafs fan, you wanted to get Garland for years. Connor Garland is was this year, I think, the most consistent forward for the Canucks. He was the one that had the most consistent effort. And if you see a Canucks game live, you really get a feel for just how much smaller Garland is than most of the other players. That was why I kind of got a chuckle out of the whole controversy of McDavid and Garland, because Garland's small. So the idea that he could ragdoll McDavid or hold him down, I'm like, well, I mean, no. I love Garland and he's really competitive, but probably not ragdolling around McDavid. Probably not. What are my thoughts on Hulk Hogan? I'm not a huge fan of Hulk Hogan. If you watch my WrestleMania reviews on the channel here, I'm not shy about my dislike of Hulk Hogan, and my dislike of Hulk Hogan has only grown over the years. My favorite videos on YouTube, I think one of them is the many lies Hogan's told as recounted by Jim Cornette on the Cornette podcast. He just makes crap up. And there are times where I hear an interview with Hogan and I go, that didn't happen. And I'll turn to Yvonne and go, that thing he just said, that never happened. I watched wrestling back then. That's not how things work. That's not how it happened. But when you've told lies long enough, it becomes the truth for you. I did answer on the Gavrikov thing. I do think Gavrikov's leaving the Kings. I'd be very surprised if they re-signed him. I think he's going to get paid. In fact, he may be one of those players who gets paid a little bit too much. I think there's going to be some sticker shock, and I think there's going to be some contracts that don't age very well. I must love the Iron Sheik. I didn't love the Iron Sheik back in the 80s. I respected him more later on. I respect that he maintained that character and he lived that character in a way that there are other wrestlers that do it. I think Bret's done it to some extent too, Bret Hart, but he was definitely stuck on that gimmick. That was him, and I do respect him for that. Besser to Seattle. I don't know about Seattle. I think Minnesota's got a good shot at Besser. I think that he's not going back to Vancouver. We know he's out of Vancouver. I don't think Seattle, although he might be a decent fit. The one concern I would have with Besser is he looked kind of slow this year, comparatively speaking to previous seasons. And his scoring definitely dropped off from the year before. I'm not sure what to expect from him this season. Do I think Ovi can get another cup? He can. Was I an Abbotsford Heat fan? At the time the Abbotsford Heat were around, I was living in Chilliwack. So at that point, I was going to Chilliwack Bruins or Chilliwack Chiefs games, depending on the year. I never really got into the Heat. And the reason, too, was, and I know a lot of people in the Valley felt this way, that's Calgary's farm team. We were all Canuck fans, so we weren't very interested in watching Calgary's farm team. It's part of the reason it never really clicked here, because that's Calgary's farm team. Just like the Canucks farm team being in Calgary probably wouldn't work either. Could the Jets go after Marner? They don't have the cap space. They don't have the cap space, and it doesn't look like that's something that Marner would be all that interested in either. The rumors of where Marner would like to go, mainly Western teams. So it looks like Marner's coming out west, and they're Western American teams. I haven't heard anything about Edmonton, Calgary, or Vancouver. Well, Marner's going to get more attention than Besser because Marner had a 100-point season. Besser didn't have that. And Bennett is right now the darling of the NHL from his Conn Smythe. If Bennett ends up being a $10 million a year player, he will disappoint. Now, if Florida keeps him, it'll be less money than that. They don't have that kind of money to throw around if they're going to keep him, Marchand, and Ekblad. If Bennett gets 10 million, he's worth 10 million for what he does in the playoffs. His regular season numbers, though, don't support a $10 million cap hit. So it's going to be dicey what happens there. McDavid to Tampa, not without some serious cap space. Tampa's in a cap situation of their own right now. I'll be talking about like the cap situations of all the teams too once we get to June 30th, June 29th. Probably do a look at that and where every team's at. Thoughts on the new Jurassic World? Yvonne wants to go see that one. She's willing to go see that one with me in the theater. Scarlett Johansson's in it, so I'll go watch it. It looks goofy. It looks ridiculous. So that and the fact that Scarlett Johansson catches a fully grown man with one arm. So he's fallen off a ledge, dangling by a rope, and she catches him with one arm and holds him and starts pulling him up. And I'm like, yeah, that would never happen. I'll watch that. Yeah. Anytime that a movie just says physics, what are physics? I'm sold. I think Yvonne will be okay with me chuckling here and there. I do expect to be chuckling a little bit. Maybe I'll just have a bag of popcorn that I'll keep between myself and my wife for when I have a little chuckle. I don't expect it to be riveting cinema or realistic at all. Besser fit with Leafs. He could as a second line forward, sure. But Besser is one of those candidates, I think, to potentially be overpaid this summer because there's not as many targets as there could be next year when it comes to free agency. And is Barkov already a Hall of Famer? Yep. He absolutely is a Hall of Famer. He's got back-to-back cups and he's got the Selke trophies. Yeah, he's Hall of Famer. What do I think of Eric Krause owning land in Atlanta to get a team back there? There are two groups right now working on getting a team in Atlanta. It will happen. Atlanta, the NHL is going back to Atlanta. It's just a matter of which bid ends up getting it. Oh, missed by Indiana and hits the 3. There you go. So now it's a 5-point lead for OKC. Now, if Indiana's smart, they're not just going to go for a 3 here, right? You don't just go for a 3 because one thing that drives me nuts in basketball is when, they scored a 3, we'll go for 1 too. No. Just try to get the smart shot. Do I think free agency is going to be like 2016? There's a lot of bad contracts. Not as many as 2016 and probably not as egregious, but there's going to be a handful of bad contracts, is my guess. The salary cap going up means teams are going to overpay. That's just how it's going to work. Teams will spend right to the cap again. I don't think we'll have as many, though, that spend to the cap as we've had over the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I hope Abby gets it next time out. That's tomorrow. My thoughts on Oppenheimer? I never watched it. I just looking at the length of it, I was like, and I never watched it. I know the story of Oppenheimer. I grew up in the 80s, so I know about all the like nuclear panic because we went through that all the time. That was a daily thing. So what the world's looking at now, yeah, we're bringing back the 80s. Cool. That's not the part of the 80s I wanted back. I was more along the lines of let's bring back some of the hairstyles, not the mullet though. Why'd the mullet come back? Mullet was just we all suffered with mullets so that our children didn't have to, and now here they are with mullets. What in the world's going on? Mark Mathot career video? I could. There are definitely career videos I'm making over the summer. Mathot could be an interesting one for sure. Does Kuzmenko fit in the Leaf system? He would drive Berube nuts. He doesn't back check. Kuzmenko doesn't back check. That's why he didn't last in Vancouver. And I think he worked with the Kings because the guys he was on the line with did the back checking, and he could just play his game and go to the net. I think it'd be in his best interest, in the Kings' best interest, to find a way to bring him back to LA. Outside of that, I think Kuzmenko is probably going to make a lot less money if he stays in the National Hockey League, and it will be interesting to see where he ends up because he does not back check. So he won't be in Philly either. I can't see Tocchet picking up Kuzmenko. Thoughts on GTA 6 trailer? I don't think we'll ever see it. Like I know they've released a trailer. I know, but I don't think we'll ever get the game. I did load up GTA 5 today. I was thinking about doing a live stream on this channel of me doing the Death Truck, and then I had to do a massive update that was like four gigs. So I just played Gran Turismo instead. Finish that download. But at some point this coming week, I do want to do a live stream where I'm doing GTA 5, and then Yvonne's reading the chat while I'm doing GTA 5. We've done that before. I always find that entertaining. If I could interview a player or coach, who would it be? Current coach, it'd be Paul Maurice. A former coach, it'd be Bruce Boudreau. Current player, Brad Marchand. Former player, man, Cliff Ronning. Probably be Cliff Ronning if I could interview anybody. If I'm being granted anybody, probably be Cliff Ronning of former players. Why wasn't Yakupov the 2012 bust? He played. I mean, he busted as a number one pick, but he played. I felt like there were players in that draft class that were worse busts than he was. He still had a couple of good years in the National Hockey League. So he did bust as a number one pick. But if he'd been, say, a number 10 or 11 pick, we wouldn't think of him as having been such a bust. It's just fail for nail was the phrase, and the Oilers failed, got nail, and then he failed. And then they were nailed. So, yeah, there you go. When will Chris Osgood get into the Hall of Fame? Sadly, I think if Osgood was going to get into the Hall of Fame, he'd already be in there. I don't think he's getting in the Hall. And yes, it'll be Death Truck. Some Death Truck. So there'll probably be some language in the game for that. There are certain things I can mute in the game, but I can't mute the language. It's not a thing. So Zetterberg will get in the Hall of Fame. I would be very surprised if Zetterberg doesn't get into the Hall of Fame. At some point, he's going to get in. Just wanted to say today's the first day in forever. You feel like you want to keep going. Oh, man. Always keep going. Always. Because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. It's terrifying. Don't you want to be part of tomorrow? Every tomorrow now is terrifying and horrifying. And oh my gosh, what happened now? You don't want to miss that. I'm so glad that Sportsnet's picked up TNA. So with WWE switching from cable network to Netflix in Canada, and all of WWE has switched to Netflix in Canada, now TNA is getting broadcasting time on Sportsnet, which is nationwide in Canada. I think it's great, and I hope more people see it. TNA is a much better program now than it was 5 years ago. I was actually pleasantly surprised, and some of the behind the scenes, like they had this like documentary style thing they had on Rosemary. Frick, I came out of that going, you know what? Damn, Rosemary's now my favorite. She's now my favorite. Only great things happen for her. She's fantastic and she's passionate about what she does. So I'm glad that wrestling, that indie wrestling, is getting more attention. Basketball now compared to the 80s doesn't have that same fire because, as I mentioned earlier in the live stream, they really hated each other in the 80s. Like they were really elbowing each other in the head, and there might be the occasional, whoops, I headbutted you. But It's still very entertaining, and I think the players are better now than they were in the 80s. As in, I think from top to bottom, the players are better now than they were in the 80s. There's always that debate about who the all-time great is. I would go with Michael Jordan because of my age. My age, we basically say Jordan's the best. I do understand the others that are in that conversation. Kobe gets mentioned. Um, Kobe, I'm not sure if I'd put him in that conversation. And then of course LeBron gets mentioned too. And I can understand that, but for me, it would be Jordan. And I think it was, when he came back and won it again. And it's like, okay, he's the greatest. And I haven't seen anything to sway me from that. My opinion on Tessa Blanchard, I think with her reputation, she's never going to get a shot from WWE and WCW, and I'm okay with that. I think that she'd really have to show that she has changed in order to get a shot from a major company like that, and I don't think it's going to happen. I think there'd be too much concern about what a headache she could be. And end of AEW Collision. It went to 6 by side and around 8 or 9 commercials while action was going on. Yeah, they have the picture in picture on AEW. I'm not a huge fan of that. And then my other thing that I'm not a fan of with AEW is just the amount of like attacks in the parking lot and just all the backstage stuff. They take the violence to a level. And the problem I have with it is simple. Like I'm not saying wrestling shouldn't be violent. I'm just saying that like when you see guys doing some of these really violent things in AEW and getting away with it, my thought process becomes, so why aren't other people doing that? Why, like, because nothing ever happens, nobody ever gets suspended. Why doesn't everybody do this? Because it works. And then I guess you'd end up with what WCW turned into for a while there, where it was all guerrilla tactics backstage. Oh, I loved Steve Nash. I was one of the many Vancouver fans that was really angry when the Grizzlies didn't take Nash because, well, we don't need a point guard. Oh my gosh, are you serious? He's a hometown kid. You're not going to take him? Yeah, that was one big part of the reason why the Grizzlies didn't last. If they'd taken Nash, who knows? Maybe they would have stuck around. Maybe it would have worked. Um, Cornette's right about the backstage area being dangerous in AEW. The inmates definitely run the asylum there. At least that's the perception. I haven't seen anything to change that perception. In WWE, you feel like it's Hunter's show, and there is a certain hierarchy. And in AEW, it doesn't feel like that's there. And some of the really dangerous, stupid things wrestlers are doing, there should be somebody backstage going, "We'd rather you didn't do that because we want to make sure you don't get injured." And yeah, guys are getting hurt in AEW because they don't have that balance. They don't have somebody telling them this is a stupid idea. Don't do this spot tonight. Cornette, I love Cornette. I don't agree with him on everything, but I do agree with him a lot. I think he's right on. He's too harsh with certain wrestlers, sure, and he does intentionally troll wrestlers by mispronouncing the names on purpose. But he's not wrong. A lot of the time, he's proven right, and so I respect him. I agree with him. I would say about 85% of the time. There are times where I say, yeah, that's a little bit too harsh. Do I think baseball would work in Vancouver? You'd need a professional baseball arena. BC Place, I don't think works for baseball. So you'd need to have like an actual pro baseball stadium. And I don't know. I don't know that Vancouver would build it. And I don't know how strong attendance would be for baseball in Vancouver. And the amount of money you'd need for an expansion team is insane. So I don't think Vancouver ends up getting a baseball team, and I don't know if it would work. Would I ever get a Marshawn Panthers jersey? Probably not. I don't generally get the jerseys with the names on the back. I've had too many instances where I get a jersey with a name on the back and then the player is traded or leaves. I'm still going through that. Some of the jerseys back here, I'm already thinking, all right, I'm probably going to have to replace a couple of these because those players are going to leave. And there's always people who, if I'm wearing a jersey of a player is no longer with the team, and if they left on bad terms, I get told, oh, you're probably trolling this fan base. So I like the blank jerseys. I like the blanks more than anything. And Florida jerseys are never very well stocked. They run out very quickly because they don't stock that many. That may change with back-to-back Stanley Cups, but generally those are ones that sell out pretty fast. Do I see the NBA coming back to Vancouver? Not unless somebody has $1.5 billion. Apparently, the expansion fee for the NBA is going to be well over $1 billion. So I don't see anybody having that kind of money to bring basketball back to back to Vancouver. Where do I think Marner's signing? If he wants to go to Vegas, Vegas will figure it out. If he wants to go to Vegas, Vegas will figure it out. They'll move money. They'll do what they have to do. And they'll be ruthless to make it happen. If that's where he wants to go, they'll figure it out. Like, and the other rumored names, I guess, are Dallas and LA. LA might be able to have the space. Dallas does not have the space. There's very, very, like, as close to 0% of a chance of him going there, unless they trade Rantanen, which I don't see happening. So, yeah, I think Vegas is somehow going to figure it out. Pacers or Thunder? Well, right now, Pacers are on a 9-2 run. They're up by 3. Pacers being at home, though, they should win this. They should. And he misses a 3. How was that not out of bounds? Anyways. How many cups do I think Vegas would have if there was no salary cap? They'd have at least one more. At least. If there was no salary cap, there'd be some teams that would be a lot stronger. Toronto, the Rangers would be stronger because they just spent a ton of money. Detroit would probably spend a ton of money. St. Louis as well. They proved in the past they'll spend a ton of money if they can. It would be a very different National Hockey League if we didn't have the salary cap. Yeah, Keandre Miller is on the market. I reported that in a news video not too long ago, and so we'll see where he ends up. But he's definitely on the market. I think it's just a matter of he's had his struggles, and I don't think they want to spend the money on him that he's demanding. So somebody else will spend that money. Would I put Ottawa and Montreal to make the playoffs again next year? We haven't even seen what free agency is going to bring. So with Montreal being ahead of where they were expected to be in their rebuild, I wouldn't be surprised if Montreal falls back a little bit. And then Ottawa should remain in the playoffs, I would think, but it's going to depend on what happens with Giroux, and it's going to depend on what happens with other players as well. Yeah, that's a foul. That's a foul. Does Major League Baseball have a salary cap? Kind of. Major League Baseball has luxury tax. So basically, if you want to spend a boatload of money, you can spend a boatload of money. You just have a tax on the money you're spending above a certain amount, which, yeah, the Yankees will do that all day. Red Sox will do that all day. They don't care. If you had a salary cap in the NHL, which has a luxury tax, Toronto would be paying a ton of money to their players. They'd already be at like 120 million in their cap. They keep showing the Halliburton injury. That's got to feel great for Indiana fans, doesn't it? Hey, remember when Halliburton got hurt? Yeah, we remember. Yeah, this Return of the Jedi, this I got from Disneyland last year. So they had 2 years ago. So they had the 40th anniversary 2 years ago when I went to Disney. So And I got this one because I had a poster when I was a kid that had the lightsaber and Return of the Jedi, and it was a fantastic poster. And so this reminded me of that, so I picked it up. Nostalgia works. Do I ever see a Canadian team winning a cup anytime soon? Yeah, I think we'll see a Canadian team win the Stanley Cup. I think we will. Um, I think people make a huge deal out of it. I understand why. Part of the reason I'm rooting for the Oilers the last couple of years is it'd be nice to see that narrative change. Um, I think there are a few Canadian teams that are close. I think Winnipeg's closer than this year's results showed them to be, and Toronto is so just agonizingly close, and of course Edmonton in the finals. So I do think things in Canada are pretty good when it comes to NHL teams. Winning it all has been a challenge, but I've gone through it. I've done videos on it before because there's always this grand, this can't be a coincidence. But when I went through every season and explained this is where these teams failed, this is where this happened, and when you look at it season by season, it does make sense. It doesn't make people less angry. I found out it doesn't make people less angry about it. That they'll watch the video and go, I still think the whole thing's crooked and I still think they set it up this way. Okay, cool. Glad we had this discussion. Did I watch any of the fan remakes of the original trilogy without all the Lucas edits? I watched a couple of videos of scenes without the Lucas edits, but I'm old enough to remember the movies without the Lucas edits. Um, I honestly thought the first time that they cleaned up the special effects and they cleaned up the video, I thought it looked much better. I was very happy with the changes, and then he kept going back and monkeying with it. He kept going back, and I was like, okay, now there's too much crap making too much noise. This is distracting from the scene. So there'd be some added CGI element that was noisy as well, some creature that's noisy, and it distracted from the scene or made it look goofy. But the first edit, the first time that he went through and he cleaned it up, did the THX with it and cleaned up the special effects, that is my favorite cut of the original Star Wars trilogy. That one to me is the best one. I saw those in the theater. Do I think Utah eventually makes blue the primary color like Tampa did? I don't know. They're new. I think we'll see a blue third jersey, and I think the blue that they use is fantastic. So yeah, I think we'll get a third jersey that's blue. All right, so Indiana up by 1 point at the half. Very, very close. So yeah, Siakam has 10 points for Indiana. Was I ever interested in the old Godzilla movies? I not so much. I mean, I'd watch them here and there, but not so much. 2004 CGI's Age Like Milk. The prequel trilogy always looked awful. The prequel trilogy, I remember Attack of the Clones came out, and I saw it in theaters multiple times because it was a Star Wars movie. But the more I watched it, the less I cared about any of the battles because it's droids against clones. So why do I care who wins? I don't care. Neither of them are good guys. So like I was checked out. That trilogy, the more I thought about it, the more I realized I don't care who wins any of this because both sides are jerks. So like, it didn't matter. I was like, this is just now I understand why everybody, why the Empire took over because the Republic sucked, but the Empire sucks. So, and then the Jedi's kind of turn out to be, well, kind of dumb and backwards. So, the more you think about it, the more you realize Star Wars has been on kind of shaky ground from the very beginning. I think nostalgia plays a huge role in how much we love the original trilogy. I did a video on this channel once on Empire Strikes Back and how so much of it didn't make any sense if you really thought about it. People didn't like that video so much. People were not a fan of me pointing out all of the things that just from a military standpoint didn't make any sense. It just didn't. And there are so many times where the Empire could have just wiped out the rebellion in just a moment, and they didn't. It didn't make any sense. But yeah, people don't like that. I have not got my Ron Cena shirt. I don't think it's shipped yet either. The Arizona Diamondbacks jersey that I got, I just ordered that earlier in the week, and that's from Fanatics as well. I don't know if I'm getting the Ron Cena shirt. I haven't got any notice about a refund as of yet, but I'll be kind of ticked off if I don't get my Ron Killing shirt, because the whole Ron Cena thing ends up being just before he was let go, and then they bring him back. So just from a historical perspective, it'd be a fun shirt to have, but I don't have it yet. Do I think they can do another good Star Wars trilogy? As long as it has nothing to do with anybody named Skywalker. If they can't keep trying to recreate Star Wars. Like, I had books from after Return of the Jedi. So books, and all of it's no longer canon because the whole Disney thing wiped it all out, and all of it's gone, all of it's dead. But I had the Jedi Academy trilogy of books, was fantastic. That was amazing. And then there was another one I think called Dark Saber, which was also very, very good, and it was related to the Jedi Academy trilogy. Jedi Academy is great. Now, that's apparently what they might be doing with Rey when they do the Rey trilogy. I'm nervous because you have to do it right, and I don't know. I don't know if they will. And it's too bad because yeah, the Jedi Academy trilogy was amazing. Those were my favorite set of Star Wars books. I still have them, but it's no longer canon, and I think that's too bad. There was a lot of information there that when they did the trilogy with Disney, they could have just borrowed from older books and put together some really good movies, but they wanted to go a new direction and everything. What city do I think could be Canada's eighth team? The only place where the NHL I think would consider expanding to would be Quebec City, and they're not on the list right now. I don't think there's another city in Canada that has a ghost of a chance of even getting a consideration from the National Hockey League at this point. Am I blacked out from watching Mariners games? I don't think so. Um, Blue Jays games are on Sportsnet every night. I don't think I'm blacked out from Mariners games. I've never encountered a blacked out screen for an American game. So I've never been blacked out for a Seahawks game that I can remember, or a Mariners game, because I would be considered out of market. Will Doctor Who be back? Eventually. I don't think it's coming back soon. I think it's going to be off for a while. I think the ratings have dropped off so much, and I know people complain about the rating. There's always bad episodes. Every season has bad episodes. Every season has stupid storylines. I think it's just, and I think people have kind of moved on from it. I think it's just it's not in everybody's thoughts, and it's not the series that it was. Ben Solo. Ben Solo was great. Um, Although Anakin Solo was my favorite character because man, when he turns evil, it is amazing. And the power that kid had with the Force, where he was doing things with the Force as a little kid. He didn't even know what it was, and he was doing stuff already as a little kid. Um, there was Jason and Jaina. Oh, right. Ben Solo was Kylo Ren. Okay, well, I'm getting it now. So Jason and Jaina, and then Anakin. And Anakin was the one that turned evil, which I guess is where you'd get Ben Solo that becomes Kylo Ren. But the fall of Anakin was better. In fact, Anakin murders Chewbacca, which is like this very intense scene. And it's kind of amazing at the same time. And they almost did that storyline in Rise of Skywalker, and then they chickened out. They're like, oh, we've killed off Chewie. Haha, psych, just kidding. There he is 5 minutes later. Well, that was emotional for like a minute and a half. Who am I rooting for? I mean, OKC's at home. It'd be fun to see the Thunder win today. Although if Indiana wins, I'd be happy for them too. And just the fact that it's two smaller markets, two teams that don't get as much attention nationally, I'm just glad they're in the final against one another. I have not watched Andor. Really, so with Yvonne and I, when hockey season's on, I don't have time to watch a lot of the shows. So we get to off season. At this time of year, we're trying to keep up with Love Island, which is, I think, 5 days a week. So we were watching an episode of that to try to keep up almost every night. And then we try to keep up on movies and TV shows as well, other than that. But it's difficult. And so we just haven't got around to Andor. We never watched Ahsoka either, or Acolyte. So, but I heard a lot of negative things about Ahsoka and Acolyte, so I didn't feel like I missed much. And we started the Book of Boba Fett, and I just got bored and lost interest. And then we started the most recent season of Mandalorian. I got bored and lost interest. So, yeah, that's where my Star Wars fandom is right now. I'm glad you like the clock. I like the clock too. I think the clock's kind of fun. It was an idea. Yvonne needed a clock, and so I was like, all right, well, she needs one. I'll just get two of them. And so she has one that's the same design as that too. Hi. Yeah, the clock.
Oh. Yeah, I needed one for the treadmill.
Yeah, you did. Oh, Bun Bun wants to know what you brought.
Hi,
sweetie.
Bun Bun. I just had my tea.
Here.
I don't have anything, sweetie. I didn't get you anything outside.
That's all right. I got plenty of treats. She doesn't want those.
She wants grass. I just came inside, so she wants plants.
You want a cookie? Here you go. She'll take a cookie.
I'll eat a cookie.
Yeah, she'll take a cookie.
Wasn't asking for a cookie, but I'll eat one.
Have I ever been to Trail? No. We did go to the Abbey games. We were at the one last night. She was at game 3. She goes to all the Abbey games, basically.
I go to all of them.
And I was able to go to a few this time out because the Stanley Cup playoffs allowed me to go. So. Oh, you wouldn't be able to read this.
I can't read that at all. I can see a couple letters.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll Yvonne size it for you.
There we go. Oh, hello.
Which Connect
Hi,
City
people.
design is my favorite? For baseball, it'd be Toronto's. I don't have any, but I have the Toronto one. I thought about San Diego's, but it's pricey. Really pricey for the San Diego Padres. And it's the green
jerseys.
It's like green and pink. It's one that has kind of the white. It's got green and pink accents on it, but
it's not like you wear baseball jerseys very often either.
Well, during the summer.
Right, but it's not like hockey jerseys where you can justify paying that larger amount for a jersey because
unless it's wonderful like that Arizona one. That is Arizona jersey is fantastic. It doesn't say that on the front.
I know, but I know what it means, so that's all that matters. Yeah, allergies are awful, which is why I sound terrible.
The
and
cost
my eyes barely open.
The cost of going to games in Abbotsford is much cheaper than going to games in Vancouver.
Way cheaper. Somebody asking how much it costs. So normal games, you can get a seat for about $25 during the playoffs. Before they all sold out, they were about $60, $65, depending on the seat. Of course, there's a few different seating prices, but all of the seats are good. Like there was somebody that commented on the picture of us yesterday, good seats, which I thought was funny because you can't see where we're sitting at all. You can't tell how high up we are at all. Yeah. But our seats are in row 10. We used to have the first three years we were row 4, and that was too close. It was to see the whole ice, but we're right about in the middle. So, but yeah, you can get seats for pretty darn cheap, and sometimes they've got well, at least they used to. I don't know if they still do. They used to have the white spot deal where you could get the four seats and then you get white spots. I know they did. Yeah. But I don't know if they'll be doing that like next year. Oh, man.
Oh, it's definitely cheaper than AEW. Last time AEW came here, I wanted to go, but the
Oh,
tickets
it's
were like
pricey.
$150. I was like, I'm not spending $150 to watch that.
And it's not like
So-
hockey where you can see it from all the way up. You're watching a screen the whole time,
Yeah, you can be. Yep.
which to me is silly, but yeah, my eyes are really bad right now.
Mentioned being a fan of the Padres. What made me a fan of the Padres? Steve Garvey. And on This Week in Baseball, I believe it was Steve Garvey was on This Week in Baseball a lot. And I was a big fan of the San Diego Chicken, the mascot that was famous at the time. And so,
Their mascot was a chicken?
yeah, San Diego Chicken. And he caused all kinds of trouble out on the field. And
Okay.
yeah, he used to go out and have mischief. And he'd take his beak and the bottom and he'd turn it this way at the umpire. Like he'd do that with his beak. And he'd get up in the umpire's face like this and he'd kick dirt at him. He was great. I love the San Diego Chicken. So that made me a Padres fan.
That's silly. I like silly mascots though, so
Yeah, you would have liked the San Diego Chicken.
Grady's great. Finn is awesome. We really like Finn. He went to all the playoff games, which is super fun. We have so many of those signed cards from Finn because Adelaide had to go say hi to him every single game. So we
Right.
got a new one every single game.
Yeah.
We have so many Finn cards. And San Diego's Friar mascot is pretty cool. Yeah, my eyes are watering.
Your eyes are acting up again?
Yeah. Makes it hard for me to see. My eyes are bad enough as it is, and I have eye allergies. I have all of the allergies.
It's kind of gross.
It is, agreed.
You should fix
It's
that.
awful. My allergies are terrible.
You tried fixing that?
Yeah. Yeah, since I was little, actually. Thanks.
How's that going?
I mean, this is me on my allergy meds, so.
Oh, well, that's kind of stupid. You should fix that.
Right? I know. Wondering when Bettman will phone into TEG again.
I actually last week sent an email to Gary Bettman. He is the only person that I've ever sent an email to saying I would love to do an interview. If there's any way to set it up, if there's any way we can make this work. Basically saying however Gary would want to do it, that'd be fine. I think it would be absolutely hilarious. The ultimate would be me doing like a fake phone call with Bettman and him actually walking into the frame.
That would be funny.
The ultimate.
Even if you did that on like Zoom, where you could start off with your little red phone and then the Zoom window
And then
pops up. And
you can hear him in the background going, "Pardon me, excuse me, what do you think you're doing?" So I think that'd be the ultimate, but that's just me dream booking again.
Hockey guys Shannon and Yvonne are best on YouTube. Going to Idaho to visit Yvonne's family.
We should.
I don't have any family that lives in Idaho.
She does.
I don't.
The Russet family
I
of
don't.
Boise. The Russets.
I don't have any. Oh man, Shannon.
What? You
Nah.
come from noble lineage. The Russets?
Do I?
Yeah.
My mom says, according to family genealogy, we're like way down the line related to Mary Queen of Scots. That's what I'm told. But that would be way down the line.
That'd be
and
on the
there has
Russet
to
side.
be like thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
That's on the Russet side of things for sure.
Oh, goodness.
Good old Hardy Russet family.
Can't tell if he's being serious or not. But that would be fire. About Bettman, he's serious that he wants to, and he's
Oh, I
serious
would.
that he emailed him.
Yes. That would be the dream. Would be to have him actually interrupt me during one of my Gary Bettman phone calls in any way, shape, or form. It would be really, really funny. And I know Bettman would have a good sense of humor about it. Bettman has a good sense of humor. I don't worry about that.
Did you ever? Well, that must be go to Abbey Heat games back in 2010.
She did.
Was a better team name back then or now? I went to Heat games, not very many, but I did. I went to a few Heat games. They're pretty fun.
I did actually hope when Abby came back that they they wouldn't be the Canucks,
I did too, because then
I
they're
wanted
both
the
the
Aviators.
Canucks.
which is the name of the other Abbotsford team we have here.
I didn't want the Aviators, but that would make sense since the Abbotsford Air Show is a big deal here. I didn't want the Abbotsford Canucks because then you have two teams that are the Canucks, and so you have to say Abbotsford Canucks. You cannot just say Canucks, otherwise.
And it means when I'm
people
reviewing
assume
games, I
assume
keep having to
Vancouver.
catch myself so I don't say
Yes.
Vancouver.
Yeah, you have to put in
Yeah.
the city, otherwise people don't know what you're talking about. But it is kind of cool that I can wear all my Vancouver gear to Abbotsford games, even though they're slightly different.
They could have been the
But-
Abbey Tulips.
And a lot of people do wear their Vancouver gear. They could have
The Abbotsford Blueberries.
been. That would be way more accurate than
Could have had the Blueberry
Tulips.
Bulldogs here.
We could have.
That would have
We're
been
the
great.
blueberry capital. Did you know that?
Of the
Abbotsford
world.
is. Abbotsford's the blueberry capital.
Of the world.
We are.
We control the blueberries.
Lots of berries here.
Yeah.
Right now it's strawberry season.
I went to school with a couple of guys named Barry.
And
Is that related?
I don't think it is.
I think it is.
And then we'll have the raspberries and the blueberries. The blueberries are still
Strawberries.
flowers, so I already said it's strawberry season right now.
Cranberries.
So I go by the little farm stands and get lots of strawberries. We've had a lot of strawberries so far. Do you like dumplings? Which kind of dumplings?
That is vague.
The kind of like ones that you cook in soup. Those are gross. The like Chinese ones, those are good. I always hated it when my mom made dumplings in soup.
Yeah.
Soggy bread. Idaho potatoes or PEI potatoes?
PEI.
PEI. We buy Canadian food. My stepdad is related to Mary Queen of Scots, apparently, and he's from Wenatchee, Washington. There you go.
She must have had a big family.
Well, yeah. Always thought it was strange for minor league teams to name themselves after their parent club. Agreed.
I do find that odd. I understand why they did it, but it was frustrating because they had a whole naming thing. And then it was obvious the naming thing was kind of a ruse. They had the whole Canucks thing planned.
Oh, yeah, there you guys can see the temperature here, too.
Yeah.
All I mean is the temperature in our house, so that's not as cool. It'd be cooler if you could see the temperature outside.
It's about the same.
That'd be way more fun. It's a little bit chilly outside. It's been raining lots for a couple of days.
How you doing, Jado?
It's really, really pretty outside and rainy.
How you doing? You good boy? You good boy? Hey?
Lots of rain here.
You good kitty?
And Gabriel is at camp. I had to pick him up at one camp and drive him to another camp today, which meant 3 hours of driving for me. First thing in the morning. It was delightful. But I got to go to Sasquatch Mountain, which is beautiful. What's up with the cat? What is up with you, Shadow?
You just wanted me to pick him up. That's all. The difference is, here's the difference. Here, go ahead. And then I'm free.
He's fine. He's not at your feet meowing.
Right. He's fine.
Seconds.
That's the difference between Shadow and Bear right there. Shadow, I can carry him for a bit, and then he'll go lay down and go to sleep. Bear goes, you seem to have put me down. Pick me up, pick me up, pick me up.
9:30 in Kitchener, and it's still 40 with Humidex.
Yeah, they've got the heat dome.
Oh, that's right.
We don't have the heat
We're
dome.
on the other side of the mountains.
Yeah, we don't have the heat dome.
Oh my gosh, that would
Right
be
down here
awful.
it's 17 degrees
Oh my
Celsius.
gosh. I can remember we had
16.
we had one
16.
year. Trying to think what year that was.
Gets hot next week.
2014 at Canada Day. It got to 30 degrees. And that was horrible. We don't usually get that hot in June. We did have that week earlier in the month that was stupid hot, and it
Yes.
totally screwed with all the garden stuff.
Yep.
but-
That's when we had to get the air conditioners in.
Yeah,
And
we haven't
really
needed them
haven't
since.
needed them too much since then. No.
Went back to June weather.
The only time I use that is basically when it's really stuffy in here. I want to get the
just
stuffiness
some
down a little bit.
Well, you can turn it on to just fan.
True.
You don't have to turn it on to air. You can turn
True.
it on to just fan so you have the airflow. We do that upstairs quite a bit. You'd think Shadow would be the clingy one with a name like that.
He follows me everywhere. He will follow me all
He
over the
does.
house.
Just Shannon.
I am the harbinger of shadow. Wherever I go, he follows. And if I go outside with him, he's constantly talking to me. So it gets kind of obnoxious. That's when he sounds like his sister, is when he's outside.
Do you play any sports besides street hockey?
I used to love playing tennis. I haven't played tennis in a while. We do have tennis rackets.
Yeah,
We could always play tennis.
I like playing tennis.
I loved playing soccer. The one thing that I could totally go out tomorrow and play and would love to play is soccer, but I don't know if anybody would show up for a soccer meetup. The thing is, we wouldn't need goalie equipment.
True.
I could just bring my hockey gloves, which would look goofy, but I'd play net for soccer. I have no problem with that.
I got banned for saying Shadow needs screen time.
Nah.
We don't
Nope.
ban people for things like that. If you got banned for that comment, it would have been accidental. We don't ban easily.
No.
You kind of have to be an ass to get banned.
In most cases, yeah.
Yeah. We don't ban for silly comments.
The interesting thing too
we
is when
delete comments.
There's people that will make, comments thinking they're going to get banned, and then I just answer them and don't, and then they'll make another comment. I'm like, that's across the line. But it feels like they want to.
Do you think the Abbotsford Canucks should have the city name on their jersey?
That'd be too busy.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessary.
No. I think they have a nice clean jersey. I like the Johnny Canuck look.
I didn't like when Vancouver had Vancouver on it, so
no. And that was
Abbotsford.
even a callback, but yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that myself.
Hello from Idaho. We miss you, Yvonne.
Idaho really misses
yeah,
her.
I don't think that's a thing.
She was homecoming potato queen.
That's not a thing either.
Back in 1995.
When I was 14?
Yeah. I had that in your middle school, remember?
I do not remember that at all.
You went to Idaho Red Middle School.
I have never gone to school in Idaho.
Idaho Red Middle School.
No.
They're going to be very disappointed that you're disenfranchising yourself from them.
What's the Idaho Red? What?
It's a potato.
Oh.
Idaho Red.
Red potatoes.
Yeah.
I've never lived where they grow potatoes.
And your team was the Spuds. Let's go Spuds.
Not a thing.
She was even the cheerleader for the team. That's how she ended up being homecoming queen.
I was definitely not a cheerleader. I was in a wheelchair in school, so
I didn't say you were a good cheerleader.
I was not a cheerleader.
Said you were a cheerleader.
Yeah. I lots of my school years was in a wheelchair.
She was the fastest cheerleader in the school.
No.
Because she flew.
She
was like those Rick Hansen ones.
Was not wheelchair accessible.
It's like one of them Rick Hansen wheelchairs.
They thought they were. They thought they converted it from an old 70s school to wheelchair accessible, and I couldn't get into the building without assistance, which was annoying.
Which is fine. You were a cheerleader. You didn't need to get in the school. You just went in the backyard and got your pom-poms.
She was fast, but only downhill. Oh, I hated downhills. Because there'd always be a curb lip. The bottom, you know how sometimes there's that crack between...
You're good though. You can just do a little bit of a wheelie and right on it, and there you go.
Nah, all set. Wheelies.
All set.
Not a thing. I think a script A for an Abbotsford logo would look pretty sweet.
They have the A on the sleeve.
There's the A on the.
They have the A on the sleeve.
On the stripes, there's the A, and then on Vancouver they do the V.
Yeah, there's the V on the Vancouver one.
Yeah, in Abbotsford there's an A. Do you have Abbotsford right there? Isn't that one right there?
Right here.
There you go. Can you see that? Oh, there it is. There's an A on the sleeve, on the stripe.
So V on that, A on that one.
Man, my eyes are watering so bad. Oh, you've got a rally towel. At the game, I was like, oh, that's nice that they gave me rally towels to dry my eyes the whole time.
I have a bunch of rally towels in here now.
There's so many rally towels.
I don't use them to clean the boards, though. I have towels for that.
because they get stained. I wash your dry erase.
How do you like your potatoes? I would say probably sliced and buttered.
I do like butter. I don't eat a lot of potatoes.
except for when she does.
I like tater
Wow.
tots.
OKC's gone on a bit of a run here.
Smiley taters
9-0.
are fun.
9-0
Baked
run by the
potatoes are
Thunder.
good. I like baked potatoes, and I like poutine occasionally, but I don't really like French fries.
She's picky
Sour
with her
cream
fries.
is great. I am picky with my French fries. I do like poutine. Baked potatoes are good. Twice baked potatoes are really good.
I guess.
Does shepherd's pie count as I like my potatoes in shepherd's pie? How's that? That's the best way to make potatoes.
Shepherd's pie is great.
That'd be my favorite way to do potatoes. Shepherd's pie.
I love shepherd's pie, except a lot of shepherd's pie comes with the green beans, and I do not like green beans.
I pick the green beans out when I make it.
You're not the only one that puts
I
green
do.
beans in them.
I make a corner and I pick out all the green beans on the Shannon corner of the shepherd's pie.
I mean, but I just don't like green beans.
There's a YouTuber that has a potato farm out in the valley, and he has a breed called Warba. They were on sale at Save-On, so I tried them, and they were fantastic. I have seen, I'm trying to think where it was. I saw a potato field. You could tell
Idaho.
because they were, no, I haven't been to Idaho since we were in Idaho.
Last year. We went down there for your high school reunion.
Dork. Kate, last year wouldn't have even been a reunion.
It was for your middle school.
That would have been, no, there's no such thing.
Yes.
I'm trying to think where it was. I did see a potato field, and
You're
I
one of
thought
the
that was
spuds.
interesting because a lot of times here
You even
the
have your
soil's
pom-poms.
too
Do I need to go
wet
get your pom-poms?
for potatoes? Whatever.
You have your
Such a
pom-poms
dork.
out there. The green
Anyways, is shepherd's pie the national dish of Idaho? I don't know that most people in Idaho know what a shepherd's pie is.
Yeah, it's not a big Idaho dish.
My mom makes shepherd's pie, no green beans, just peas and carrots. I do peas and carrots occasionally,
Peas,
but
carrots, fantastic.
our middle son doesn't like cooked carrots. So
Also,
I don't usually do the peas and carrots because that's a lot of carrots.
Peas and corn.
Yeah.
That works fantastic too.
My ex-husband liked his shepherd's pie with creamed corn.
That sounds delicious.
And that's disgusting.
That sounds fantastic.
That
way you can just kind of jam it in your gullet and you don't even have to chew it. You just slide it down.
And that's why I don't like creamed corn. I prefer to chew my own food.
See,
as a general rule, I
prefer to preserve my energy, right? If I don't have to expend energy, I'm not going to. Oh, I mentioned to them too, I think we could do a Death Truck live stream this week.
Okay.
Where I'm on the PlayStation and you're watching the chat.
We'll have to.
It could be during the day.
We have a child graduating this week. Do you remember that, correct? Yes. Graduation. Okay.
It's not on Monday or Wednesday, is it?
It's not Monday, but Adelaide has her last day of class on Monday. It's at the zoo. They have a zoo field trip.
Right.
And then we have some people coming for Gabriel's graduation. He's so excited to be done with high school.
Do I get to pet wombats if I go to the zoo?
You can't pet. Oh, there's not wombats, but there's a baby capybara.
Can you pet it?
It's so cute. No, you can't pet it. No, you can't pet the animals.
I don't see the point if you can't pet them. Wombats are the cutest things.
They don't have wombats at the zoo here.
They should. Capybaras are cute too. I would have a capybara in the backyard.
We have a baby capybara at the zoo. The zoo is so close to our house. It's great. It's called the Greater Vancouver Zoo. It is not in Vancouver.
Although if I had a choice, I'd have 4 skunks in the backyard. They'd all be descented.
So adorable.
They'd be descented, but if people saw 4 skunks in our backyard, I think we'd be safe.
Oh, somebody agrees with me. Cream corn is awful, right?
They do the stomp. I love the stomp that baby skunks do. Baby skunks with the little stomp.
Just confirm that Yvonne is not a baby bird. She likes to chew her food.
There's nothing wrong with baby birding food.
No, there is, and I do say that sometimes that I'm.
But you love that competition on Love Island.
Oh, that's so gross. Why do they do that on TV?
I don't know. Then dump it on somebody's head. Just
more PWHL content with Vancouver team now.
there'll be more content
So
for
excited.
the fact that there's
Yay, that'll
more
be so fun.
teams. So with 8 teams, there'll be more content, and I'm going to try to change how I do the reviews next year.
Canadians go to school year round?
No.
No.
You're
No.
done by
They go to
around the end of June,
The end of June.
and then the first weekend after, or first Tuesday after Labor Day is the start
Yeah.
of the school year.
School's till the end of June, though. And so graduation is on Wednesday. Adelaide's last class for her school is tomorrow. Gabriel's last day of school was Friday, but there is still school this coming week. But since he's graduating, he's done. He doesn't have to go into the school on Tuesday.
Yeah.
He's really big into carpentry.
play.
He actually won an award, which he was super proud of for his carpentry. It was the technical skills for the grade 10, 11, 12. So he was the only one that won the technical skills award for those 3 grades for his carpentry. He is making me a sewing desk. Have you seen it? Most of it's outside, but he has to do some work on it still. So he has to go to school on Tuesday to do a bit. I think that's pretty cool. Isn't that neat? My son's making me a desk. That's what he chose to make for school, was make me a personalized sewing
Can he
desk.
fix the fence?
I've talked to him about that. I would like him to fix the stairs.
Yes.
Those stairs are crap.
The stairs in the back, that's a Final Destination movie waiting to happen. Most of our backyard is a Final Destination movie waiting to happen.
Our house was
in the middle of the street.
Our house was built just by the family.
Like 10 people are going to get that remark.
The people that own, people that are old. The family that owns the house. They took a house and then added and added and added, and then them and their buddies just did everything. And so we had to rewire the house because I didn't want it to burn down. The plumbing's awful. The fence is crap. The stairs are awful. None of our walls are square or level.
No.
It's just, oh man, I wouldn't want to buy this house.
No.
Because you have to redo so
absolutely
much.
Not. Nope.
Not worth it. And our fence is falling apart because it's just on the ground and the ground's always soggy. So
I say we just buy
that's
land and
lasted
just
3
build
years.
the house. Just build our own
How's
house.
the housing market in Vancouver?
Expensive. Ridiculous.
There's a reason we don't live in Vancouver.
We can't afford Vancouver. We're as far west as we can afford.
Yeah. Abbotsford is getting way better though, because they are building an insane amount. It is crazy how much they have been building in Abbotsford for the past year. Crazy. Like whole it's like little villages. There's a bunch of them, just tons. Carpentry is the best trait. That's what I do. That's awesome. That's what Gabriel's going to do. He's done so well in school with it. So he's going to go to trade school for carpentry. And I have a good friend that works in construction and gave Gabriel some of his old tools, which Gabriel is so excited about. And so he can start doing his own thing.
Do they not call traveling in basketball anymore? It feels like traveling doesn't get called nearly as much as it could. These guys are taking steps. And I'm going, there's definitely a travel going on here and there that's not being called, I think, personally.
Nice job on the carpentry award, hun. Hey, you hear that squeaky step over there? Right? Well, so we have a deck outside in our backyard and just crappy
The steps
stairs.
are untreated.
Yeah, they just put boards. And so one of the boards, like it's about 2 inches, just came off the front of it. So there's one step that's narrower.
Yeah, it's dicey. So when we're bringing the rabbits in and out of the house, I don't use the stairs. I come in through the back because there's no way I'm going to risk a rabbit jumping out of my arms while I'm falling off a stair. No. Again, Final Destination.
Watching this game makes me realize how much more fun hockey is.
Well, it's a 9-point lead right now for Oklahoma City. So Indiana was coming back, and then Oklahoma City said nope, and So that puts more pressure on Indiana to try to get one from a distance, or in this case, draw a foul.
Townhome units are going for $525,000 in my area. Houses in my development going for $600K. So glad I got mine for $175,000.
A house in Vancouver, I don't think is anything less than $1.5 million, and that's for the tiny ones.
Yeah, but
so
Canadian.
But still, it's in American that'd be about 1.1 million, I think. Like it's pricey. Out in the valley,
we used to live in a townhouse because
Yeah.
that's all I could afford to rent, and I wasn't going to live in an apartment with 3 children. Going to Vancouver for the first time in 2 weeks. Oh, fun. For MSI at Pacific Coliseum. Excited to see the city. Hopefully the public transportation isn't bad. That's awesome. The public transportation in Vancouver is pretty darn good. You can get a day pass. It works for SkyTrain and the buses. You can even ride on the C bus, which is
there anything that goes out to Pacific Coliseum though? Because that's out by the highway.
Yeah, the bus station is right across the street. Okay. Well, they have 2, but yeah.
Does it run that late?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in Vancouver.
I wasn't sure if it ran that late or not.
Yeah. Yeah, the transit system is pretty good in Vancouver. SkyTrain is pretty awesome.
We have a chance to see Stanley Park do.
Absolutely.
Stanley Park's gorgeous.
It is. It's ranked number 1 park in Canada.
Yeah.
Can get lost.
Don't feed the coyotes though.
No. You shouldn't see the coyotes. But
some summers they come down.
As a Seattle Sonics fan, I hope the OKC loses in heartbreaking fashion.
Well, they're up by 11, so they're up by 11.
Just think of the money you're saving by using the Home Alone home security system, though.
True.
Shouldn't medical teams lose their medical licenses by allowing players who are obviously injured, like Chuck, in the playoffs and risking their health?
The NHL would honestly be better off if they had more oversight of both LTIR and then players coming back and being declared good to go. And the problem is there's always been some form of an honor system where a player says, no, I'm fine, I can play. And there's no pushback, obviously, from the union on that. And the league seems to be of the mind that, it's fine. And since the league denies that CTE exists with hockey players or that hockey's related to CTE, I don't think there's any desire on their part to change it either.
Another violation in NBA that really gets called is the double dribble.
Yep, I've noticed that in this game too. You know the double dribble.
I have no idea what that is.
Okay, so I get the ball, I'm dribbling it, and I stop, look around, I can't start dribbling again.
Oh,
I have to pass it or take the shot.
Okay.
But there are definitely times where the guys palm the ball and stop and then start dribbling again. And it's like they'll do it fast, but still it's a double dribble. That was even my favorite game on the Nintendo was double dribble. It's the name of a basketball game. I was fantastic at it.
Living in Abbotsford or Mission is way better than living in Surrey or Vancouver.
I wouldn't mind living in Mission.
Mission's beautiful. I have a few friends that live in Mission.
Yep, I wouldn't mind Mission
if we
were going to
move.
I
really like Mission.
It's quiet. It's nice.
They've got all the bears. We have a lot of bears. Coquitlam has a lot of bears too. They're so cute. Mm-hmm. Actually, there's some bears that live not too far from our house.
I'm surprised we haven't seen any in our backyard at any point in time.
I've seen them just up the road.
Because we have the trampoline. Because bears love trampolines.
They can't get into our backyard. Our backyard's pretty secured.
They're bears. They'll figure it out.
Oh, did I ask about? I've got fur on my lips.
What did you not ask?
Did I ask about you doing more PWHL content?
Yes, and there will definitely be PWHL content. Just for the fact there's going to be 8 teams rather than 6, so I'll probably do like I'll try to do like team previews, season preview kind of stuff, and hopefully at that point I'll have Vancouver and Seattle jerseys as well. But I do have every team in the original 6. I have a jersey for each team from the PWHL.
What are your thoughts on WWE being on Netflix so far?
I think it's really easy to forget that it's on. because it's not on cable. And I usually just go on Netflix later in the night when I'm with Yvonne and we're watching shows or movies. So it's easy for me to forget. And the ratings have been down, and I think that's part of it. When it's on a streaming service, you don't think I'm going to watch a sporting event on a streaming service.
I think people might get used to it. I think so many people don't have cable.
But I know the ratings have really dropped like a rock. I think the other problem it has is it's 3 bloody hours. Wrestling doesn't have to be 3 hours.
Agreed.
Really, unless it's a pay-per-view, 3 hours I don't think can be justified. There's way too much filler. And you still can't get Karrion Kross on there. Fantastic. Good job, guys. Way to go. No Karrion Kross when the fans want him, because sure.
What 2023-24 NHL draft picks can we expect to see debut or have an impact this season?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I'd have to go through that. That's something I would definitely talk about during the summer. I'll be looking to do some more unique videos during the summer and less playlist stuff. So that's something I could definitely do during the summer.
Have you tried any sports simulation videos or board games like Franchise Hockey Manager or Stratomatic Hockey?
I have not. I have Franchise Hockey. I've got it on my Steam account, but I have not played it. I know that it's supposed to be a lot of fun. I just haven't played it yet.
I have Formula Day, the board game. That's fun. Does that count? It's a fun game. Does that count?
Fun. I hope whatever she's eating off the carpet, she's supposed to. She was eating cat food again earlier.
Don't eat the cat food.
It's
gross.
It
smells gross.
She's got a hankering for meat now. We're gonna have a carnivorous rabbit on our hands.
Be a killer bun.
Yeah.
Do you think the hate on ads is justified in WWE? I personally couldn't care less.
There's way too many.
It's
having branded
silly.
tables. It's a Slim Jim table. What?
Slim Jim makes crappy tables.
And you have like ladders that have like branding, and it's like, what? This is dumb. So I'm not a huge fan of all the advertising, but TKO loves it, so there's going to be more and more of it.
Moved to Mission from Surrey in 2006. So glad I did. I would hate living in Surrey. My ex-husband lived in Surrey. He really wanted me to move to Surrey.
Holy crap.
And I refused.
13-point lead for OKC now. Wow. And Halliburton will not return. Lower leg. We know. We saw it.
Thoughts on PWHL Sirens letting all their good players get taken in the expansion draft?
The Sirens got hurt, not nearly as much as the Charge. The Charge are decimated by expansion. I think the Sirens will figure it out. But yeah.
What was that, Bun Bun?
I don't know. What
as loud as possible. She's over there now.
What you doing, Bun? Bun.
Are you still looking at doing a music list this summer?
Yep. Let me just take a quick look at my Spotify here. Library. This playlist is currently at 100 hours exactly.
Wow. 100 hours, 0 minutes.
Yep. 100 hours on that playlist.
Top out at 100.
Maybe. I'm gonna break it.
Because that is weird.
At some point in time, I'm gonna break it.
What's your prediction for Game 6 tomorrow? Let's go Checkers.
I hope Abby wins it. They're gonna need Shilovs to stand on his head. I'll say it's a tight one. If they win it, I'll say 2-1. I think it'll be a tight game.
You think the score will be 2-1?
Yep.
They don't usually have that small of a score for their games.
They did when they were in Charlotte.
I really hope they win.
I really hope they win. Do too.
They haven't been playing the best.
Nope.
They have to work better as a team.
Their passes last night were atrocious. They cannot
just rely on Shilovs. Yeah, if they could stop flinging it down the ice to nobody, because it always goes to
Kudravtsev had a rough night last night too. 59. Kudravtsev had a rough night last night,
which is too bad because he's been pretty good for them. Yeah, and they've got some players out. Ratu's out because he's injured and he's one of their better players.
Amon is another one that hasn't played in the playoffs either.
That's tricky. But I hope they win, and they have 2 more games.
Yeah.
That they could possibly win it, and that would be amazing for Abbotsford.
Favorite ELO song?
Mhm.
Don't Bring Me Down.
What's your guys' favorite musical movie? Favorite musical movie?
Army of
Oh,
Darkness?
so many choices. No,
Idiocracy?
that's not a musical.
Singles.
What?
The commercial for Seattle.
I really like Les Mis. That one's fantastic, and I know
My
not
favorite
everybody
musical.
likes it. I also like Greatest Showman.
Repo, the Genetic
Um,
Opera.
That's a fun one.
Yeah, mine would be Repo, the Genetic Opera. She hasn't seen that one.
I have not.
It's a musical though,
No.
but it's gory. It's about harvesting the organs from people while they're still alive. So it's like organ donation, but they just show up at your house and take your organs and leave.
Okay.
So
I like Jesus Christ Superstar. That one's really fun too.
I thought you liked the one with Johnny Depp, the Demon
The
Barber,
one with Johnny Depp.
the Demon Barber one.
That's not one of my favorites.
Oh,
Johnny Depp is awesome, but that's not one of my favorites.
that's the only musical he's been in.
Is it?
I think so.
I think it might be. That might be. I like a lot of music.
I like Xanadu. I mean, Xanadu's a great musical. Yvonne was so
I
enthralled with
was
Xanadu.
not.
That was one of our favorite movies to review together. Because
I was
Xanadu.
not a fan of Xanadu.
Xanadu was great.
No.
Olivia Newton-John.
Have you seen Book of Mormon? We did go see Book of
We
Mormon.
saw that one. We went to Vancouver and watched that last year.
I really like going to see.
I got my frog.
Broadway. Yeah, he got the frog.
I did get the frog.
I like going to see Broadway.
Frog
shows.
keeps me safe.
I need to get me Lion King tickets.
Yeah, you
That's
do.
coming. I've wanted to see Lion King for 18 years. Because the last time it came around that I know of, that I was aware of, was when Gabriel was just born. But I could not afford it.
Man, Oklahoma City. Up by 13. We're down to 11:39 left. The party's going to
Rick
keep
Moranis'
going.
Little Shop movie is a favorite of mine. That one's fun.
Little Shop. I was never a big fan of that one. Oh, I know the other one you like, Rocky Horror.
I do like Rocky Horror.
I'm not a fan of Rocky Horror.
It's so funny. I made my kids watch it this past Halloween. Gabriel thought it was the funniest thing ever because at the end it's just and aliens. Like, see, it's like the Halloween movie. It has everything in it. Everything.
See, and then like my favorite TV episode that was musical was Once More with Feeling from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Xena the Warrior Princess had a really good musical episode too. That was a fun one with her and Callisto, where I found out Hudson Light could sing.
What's your opinion on Disney potentially making a 6th Pirates of the Caribbean with the potential of no Johnny Depp?
I thought he was coming back.
Yeah, they said that they would use Johnny if they did a 6th. I think they need to stop.
I
like
lost
the
interest
pirate
in
movies,
the third movie lost me.
but
I was like, wait, Keira Knightley is the one that's in charge of the pirates? I'm done. I am so done. Keira Knightley's character should not be in charge of the pirates. I don't care how pretty she is. She should not be in charge of the pirates. It's not a thing. And she's got Natalie Portman's face, which
I think
is
they
just
needed
rude.
to stop a while ago. Do a different movie. I did like Pirates, though. Pirates is fun. My favorite musical movie is Grease with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John.
I didn't mind
I
Grease.
don't like Grease
My
at all.
ex loved Grease and watched Grease often.
I don't.
So
I see that one as kind of.
I will never watch Grease again.
Mm-mm.
Although it was Olivia Newton-John.
I don't like the storyline at all. I think it's icky. Sorry. I know a lot of people like that one.
The storyline.
I think it's awful.
Aren't they redoing it though?
I don't know. I don't like Grease.
I think they're redoing it. I think that's one of the many reboots that we're getting. And then there was Grease 2, which was cruel. Even worse somehow.
Top 5 places you can see John Hoffer going.
Top 5 places. Well, I think the Blues match. I can't see Hofer going anywhere. He's a good backup. If he was to get an offer sheet, I mean, who needs a goaltender who could put in an offer sheet? I guess if Vladar goes to market, Calgary could. I don't think Edmonton has the cap space. Ottawa, I guess, technically could. But I think St. Louis would match unless it's something dramatic because they can put Krug on LTIR next year. So they should have the space.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yes.
If you want it on pizza.
Yep. I've enjoyed Hawaiian pizza for a long time, so I can't say no.
Our daughter Adelaide loves pineapple on pizza. I'm of the thinking that people can have whatever food they would like to have, and if somebody likes pineapple on pizza,
pineapple and bacon is nice because then you're getting sweet and savory.
Yep. Put whatever you want on your pizza.
Yeah, pineapple and bacon.
Doesn't matter to me. If I don't like it, I won't eat it.
No, when I was a kid, Hawaiian pizza was the one my mom and I had all the time.
Hawaiian pizza, it's Canadian.
It's ham and pineapple.
Right, but we don't call it Hawaiian pizza. It's ham and pineapple here, but it's Canadian. So there you go. Do you guys like Jurassic Park? And if so, any interest watching the new movies? I think dinosaurs are awesome, so I like dinosaur movies, as stupid as they are.
I'm a Scarlett Johansson fan, so I will watch.
Absolutely want to watch the new movie because it's a dinosaur movie and dinosaurs are great.
They have to fight pterodactyls. I just want to see when the guy falls off the ledge and Scarlett Johansson catches him with one arm. That I want to see because that would rip her arm off. But Scarlett Johansson still works. She's basically, it looks like she's Black Widow.
Are you sure?
I think they're pterodons.
There you go.
But
pteranodons. Yeah, pterodactyls aren't.
Yeah, it looks like she's basically Black Widow with a gun in this one.
Sounds right. Yeah, I like dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are cool, so I like dinosaur movies.
16-point lead for Oklahoma City. Oh, and they tried to hit a 3. Now they're just getting cocky.
Agreed, although there is a point where something may cease to qualify as a pizza, though. Well, I guess. If it's bread with sauce and
There's some things that they call pizza, like the California pizza, that I'm like, that's not pizza.
I don't know.
Where it doesn't, like some of the vegan ones where it's like lettuce and something like, how does this qualify as pizza? There's no cheese. There's no sauce.
Y'all ever watch the X-Files? Yes. Been catching reruns.
She did more than I did.
Comet last few nights. And now I'm thinking I might have to rewatch the show a 4th time. I absolutely watched X-Files. That most of it was filmed here until it went to California, and then it wasn't as good.
No, filming in California ruined it.
It looks way cooler here, but yeah,
and David Duchovny got banned for talking bad about Vancouver from I think the number 5 Orange banned him.
Yeah.
And David Duchovny likes his strip clubs, so being banned from a strip club probably hurt his feelings.
And Gillian
Anderson.
Gillian Anderson is awesome.
She is fantastic.
Yep, she is great.
Sex Education proved how fantastic she is.
She is a fantastic actor. But
even if that show was terrible at the end.
All of X-Files, as goofy and over the top as it was, but totally watched all of them.
Yep. 16
I was obsessed with dinosaurs and carnival rides as a kid. I've always liked dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are cool.
My favorite was Triceratops.
I like Stegosaurus. That's
Does Triceratops still exist, or is that one of the ones that? Okay,
yes, still exists.
I don't know if that one changed its name or not. And there's still the ones too that they think are too big to have actually been dinosaurs. Like there's a video that YouTube keeps recommending of these dinosaurs couldn't have existed as dinosaurs because they were too heavy. For the way we render them.
Oh, okay.
The one that we used to refer to as Brontosaurus.
Yeah,
they're not sure what it actually looked like.
Didn't know X-Files was filmed in BC.
Oh yeah,
Yes, and if you
why
watch
it's
it,
always
it looks
raining.
very, very BC.
very wet all the time and very dark because it's always raining because Vancouver.
All the good shows get shot in Vancouver. There are a lot of
Supernatural.
fun shows. Yes,
Supernatural.
X-Files, Supernatural. Flash was filmed here, but I
Yep.
wouldn't consider that a good one. That one was always that one was always like in areas that I was trying to be in. So you have to like
Almost
around
all of
there.
those Marvel shows were filmed, like Legends of Tomorrow.
a
was
lot of the
filmed in
superhero
Vancouver.
ones.
'Cause
Sliders.
we watched Legends of
another
Tomorrow,
fun
and there were
show.
times we were like, "That's by the arena. That's by the arena."
But if any of you are old enough, Sliders, another fun show, at least in the beginning. It kind of went off the rails, but that was also filmed here. And there's a lot of scenes that I can tell exactly where they are.
Yep.
Do you think? Oh, sorry, my eyes.
McLeod from
okay,
Buffalo would be a good offer sheet by the
Sorry.
Canucks or trade for Hronik and pieces. I liked McLeod's game this year. McLeod's best suited to be a third line center. Canucks need a second line center. I don't know that McLeod fills that need. So I don't know if I would offer sheet McLeod, and then you have to offer sheet him at a number Buffalo won't match. So that gets a little tricky. There's been a lot of talk about whether or not Byram would go to Vancouver if they were able to work out that trade. And I don't think they move Hronik. I'd be very surprised if they move Hronik. I think they sign him to that long-term contract with the plan on keeping him.
I loved How I Met Your Mother, but I've started rewatching it. It's so corny. What's your thoughts on the show?
There were parts of How I Met Your Mother that I liked, like Kobe Smulders. I love Kobe Smulders. She's one of those actresses I'll watch whatever she's in. But I think what soured people on it was the ending. The ending was so insulting that it builds to the mother, and the mother's in the show for like 10 minutes and she's dead. And it's like, well, glad we waited through 8 years. And the last season I thought was just insufferable. The last season of the show is like over like a 24-hour period. So they just draw it out. It's like the wedding for Barney and then they get divorced right away. And it's like, well, that was glad we waited for that wedding so they could get divorced, and then the mom died. So that's what ruined it for me, was the ending. I'm still a fan of Friends. I know people don't like how well it's aged, but I still laugh when I watch Friends. I'm sorry. I still find parts of it funny.
I'm not generally a fan of sitcoms. I don't usually find sitcoms
There are
funny.
still lines from Chandler that I legitimately find funny because that's what I would say in that situation.
Aren't a lot of Christmas movies filmed in Vancouver, Abbotsford, where they have like one section absolutely designed to Christmas.
That'd be our downtown.
Yeah, they film a ton of the Hallmark movies in Abbotsford, and they film them downtown. And there's one street that they super duper decorate for Christmas. There's like this little shop that sells random crap, and then there's a little bakery, and they super decorate for Christmas, and they put the snow there. There's so frequently
they've started using Chilliwack too.
Drive by, and they also do Fort Langley, because
Yes.
Fort Langley is more of a historical.
Chilliwack, they renovated the downtown.
area.
They rejuvenated downtown a little bit.
Yeah,
so
they
there's
did.
areas there they can film in. And they used the arena. There was the one we watched where
yeah,
they had all the Christmas trees on the ice. And I'm like,
so weird.
is that Prospera? Yep, I can see right there, Chiefs. Oh my gosh, that's Prospera. Why are they skating around the? That's bizarre. So I knew where they were, and it made it weirder.
Ham and pineapple pizza from Fresh Slice Pizza, so good.
I'm not a huge fan of Fresh Slice.
Neither
I
am
prefer
I.
Panago personally.
Panago is better. I generally prefer.
She's
pizza
really
from
picky with pizza.
I am very picky with pizza. I usually like to eat from the local places. We have so many local
Pizza Hut's a no.
That's like the worst. We have so many local pizza restaurants. They're like pizza / Indian food restaurants. Yeah.
We still have a Jim's in Abbotsford, or no?
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the same spot, right by Mary Brown's.
But the Jim's that we have here isn't related to the Jim's in Chilliwack, though it's the same logo, and the same name, and the same font.
Oh, tandoori chicken pizza. Yes. And the butter chicken pizza. So good.
At 7-Eleven now they have butter chicken taquitos.
I wouldn't.
I don't know if I'll
about-
do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Gabriel
that
can try one if he wants.
trust 7-Eleven. Hey, enjoy, you guys. Both any good bars, restaurants you guys would recommend in Vancouver? We don't ever eat in Vancouver.
We really don't.
Sorry.
Did we? Was there the
We
one
don't-
time?
We don't eat in Vancouver.
Wasn't there one time after a meetup that we went somewhere in Vancouver for dinner?
Where are you traveling from that you're going to Vancouver?
Where did we
But
have food?
Vancouver has a ton of restaurants. So many different types of food. Actually, the only time I eat in Vancouver, I eat in Chinatown. But other than that, I don't ever eat in Vancouver.
There are a ton of really nice Chinese restaurants.
Yeah. Vancouver has everything though.
Yeah.
Everything.
Absolutely. Chinese, Vietnamese, Thai, Japanese, some nice
There's, like,
Italian food
everything.
too, French, you name it, it's there.
If you're not from Canada, there's a lot of Canadian chains that are kind of fun if you don't want super expensive. There's like White Spot,
Milestones,
super Canadian, BC. Yeah,
Great
Milestones.
Canadian Brew House.
Great Canadian Brew House is really good. Boston Pizza, they're not too bad. They're similar to like Applebee's, but good.
You mentioned White Spot.
Yeah, that's a BC restaurant.
That's the big one. Yeah, White Spot's fantastic.
Tons. Vancouver has tons, but we don't eat in Vancouver.
Compared to other restaurants, White Spot's not as pricey.
Right.
It's better if you're on a budget. It still can get pricey, but it's not as bad.
And if you're not from Canada for fast food, A&W is awesome. It's nothing like the American one.
Burger King's better in Canada than in the US.
It's still gross. It's not edible in the States.
I don't mind BK in Canada, but in the States,
gross.
I took one bite out of a burger and I'm like,
that was so gross.
no.
That was some of the
Holy crap,
most disgusting food
22
ever.
point lead for Oklahoma City. This is just a decimation at this point. The Pacers have missed their last 9 field goal attempts.
Oh, Harvey's can't go wrong. We don't have Harvey's.
We have
There's
one
like one
Harvey's.
in Coquitlam.
Yes.
Oh, I need to get going. I have to go get Malachi.
Okie dokie.
He's playing bocce ball.
Frozen pizzas.
Special.
Not really.
Yuck.
I generally, I'm not a big
Never.
frozen pizza fan.
Never.
No.
Ever.
No.
Never.
I remember when I was a kid, I would have them occasionally, but then I had real pizza and then I couldn't do it anymore. So yeah, 90-70 for Oklahoma City. Let me just turn this. Are they booing a foul or non-foul? Well, they're booing a foul. You guys are up by 20 with 7 minutes left. I think you're okay. Frozen pizza is definitely when you're on a budget. But instead of frozen pizza, I get pizza pops. I much prefer pizza pops. Not pizza pockets, pizza pops. I'm a Bolts fan, picked a perfect time to go on honeymoon and avoid seeing the damn Panthers win again. Hey, I get that. I do. If I didn't have a channel, I don't know if I would have watched all of the games in this final. Having a hockey channel has definitely made me have to watch games I otherwise probably wouldn't have. I will admit that. Tandoori chicken and chutney pizza is awesome. I could see that. I'm not a huge fan myself, but I do like butter chicken, and butter chicken pizza is delicious. Have they informed the ref he sucks yet? I don't think they do ref you suck in basketball. I thought last night in Abbotsford, I thought the ref you suck chants were ridiculous. They started them before the call was even made in cases. And there was one case where it was clearly a trip. And they did the fan you suck. And I'm thinking, but that was clearly a trip. So they're going to call that. And then there was one, too. It was a high stick where it gets the guy in the face and they call it. And the ref you suck chant started. They did miss a high stick to the face of an Abbotsford player in the overtime last night, though. But they just missed it. It wasn't an intentional not call. They missed it. So that was frustrating to fans last night. Would the Panthers move Lundell to keep Marchand, Ekblad, and Bennett? Lundell, I don't think Lundell gets moved. I think if they move anybody, it'll be somebody who's older and probably somebody that they feel like they could replace for cheaper. You can be 10% above the salary cap during the offseason. I would not be surprised to see them just sign everybody, be 10% above the cap, and try to figure it out before the season gets rolling. Seattle fans are mad. Oh yeah, Oklahoma City. That used to be the Seattle basketball team. Although you don't know if they'd stayed the Sonics, whether or not they'd have this team and be in this position. And maybe if they'd stayed as the Sonics, they would have won more championships prior to this. No telling what could have happened. What chance more annoying? This is awesome in wrestling, or ref, you suck in hockey. This is awesome and ref, you suck. Both chants irritate me because the bar for chanting it has dropped tremendously. This is awesome is now used on any wrestling match where wrestlers look like they know what they're doing. Ref, you suck is every single time that your team is in the penalty box. It gets irritating. Could I describe Harold Ballard briefly? Old curmudgeon who was horrible to players, didn't seem to care so much about the fans. And when they told him that he had to put names on the back of jerseys, he was so worried about losing sales on programs. The names on the back of the jerseys were the same color as the jerseys themselves, so you couldn't read them. He was a curmudgeon, and he ruined the Maple Leafs. So I think he was probably the worst owner ever. We want tables can be irritating, especially when it's not a match that's no DQ. But that is a callback to the Dudleys. Sort of like the what chant gets irritating too. That's a callback to Stone Cold. And now LA Knight doing the other night. I thought, let's not start a new chant. Let's not start something that fans can be really obnoxious with, because they'll just stay obnoxious with it and they'll use it all the time. First time you ever heard anybody describe Ballard without using curse words. Curmudgeon. Curmudgeon's the word I'm using to avoid curse words. So there's that. Curmudgeon. I don't get the hype with LA Knight either. I was into the whole LA Knight thing for a couple of months, and then I just realized what he's doing just feels like kind of a knockoff of Stone Cold. He's not Stone Cold. He's not a great wrestler. He's got a good look. He's a good wrestler. I don't think he's a main event guy. So just personally, they do still do the what chant. Naomi shut it down this week. She swore at them, and that shut it down for a little bit. Will Houston get an NHL team? When the NHL decides to expand, which is coming soon, they're not doing an official expansion process because they don't have to. Oklahoma City is playing basketball. Okay, I got to stop watching the game. Atlanta and Houston are the next teams that are going to come into the National Hockey League. I almost feel like now I have to get an envelope, put it against my head, and name 3 things. But I'm not Karnak. Oh, now they're reviewing for a foul. I think the bar for what is or isn't a flagrant foul has changed from when I watched. There was one in a game I watched the other day. Okay, so they're saying no flagrant foul here. There was a game I watched the other night where they said no flagrant foul, and I thought there was, by old standards. It was worse than the one they just showed here. That's not a flagrant foul. That's just a foul. Do I like Florida winning the Stanley Cup? I mean, I'm neutral on it. I would have preferred Edmonton winning the Stanley Cup just to quiet down the Bettman hates Canada crowd a little bit. But I mean, they earned it. They played a fantastic game, I don't begrudge them for it. And they're having fun with it. And I think all these sound bites on social media and everything they're doing right now, I don't see how it can do anything but help. That's right. Christian did. He did give Austin the idea. He did. And the funny thing is, when what started, I thought it was stupid. Remember the first time I saw Stone Cold doing that, and I was like, I don't understand. This is dumb. But it caught on because it's something you can say at the end of every sentence. And it does get under the skin of certain wrestlers. So I understand why fans do it, but it's still irritating. Flagrant 1 or flagrant 2, because flagrant 2 is an ejection. Well, and they just said that wasn't a flagrant at all. Oh, now we've got another Indiana player down. So is that going to be declared a flagrant? Nah. He just got him at a rough angle. Oh, man, he landed on his hip. That hurts. He almost executed that in a way that it wouldn't have been a foul, too. That's, I mean, I get it. It is a foul, but he almost held up enough that it wasn't. Do I have the early 90s red, black and white San Diego Gulls jersey? No. I think Royal Retros has that one, I think. Royal Retros has some really fun hockey designs on their site. I got the Minnesota North Stars one I wore in a jersey this week from them. And I ordered the Florida Blockbusters because that's fun. Florida Blockbusters is great. And I can wear it occasionally in a video where I'm talking about Florida. And I may do a video this summer on jerseys that almost were, or jerseys that could have been. So maybe get some of my fashion jerseys, some of the jerseys I have that never technically were used. Like I've got the Quebec Nordiques with the Husky on it and that kind of thing. But yeah, I think the San Diego one's on their site. I was a big Larry Bird fan. Back in the 80s, your choice was Magic Johnson or Larry Bird. I never liked Magic Johnson. He always seemed really cocky to me. And I didn't like that. Larry Bird could be a dirty player, but I was a big Celtics fan anyways. Kevin McHale was my favorite player at that point in time. Could McDavid go to the Habs? I don't think so. I don't think the Habs are going to be in a position to offer him what he wants. I think in the event that he decides not to stay in Edmonton, I think we'll know before the season starts. And then I think there will be tremendous pressure on Edmonton to make a trade if he's deciding he wants to go somewhere else. Do I have an OKC jersey? I do not. I have Utah and I have a Grizzlies. And I got a Utah Jazz because obviously early in the hockey season, they didn't have any Utah jerseys. So I got a Jazz instead. And I have a Vancouver Grizzlies because why not? One jersey that I am considering getting is the Vancouver Canucks store has a jersey that is a cross between the Grizzlies and the Canucks. And so I'm considering getting that. I don't have it yet. And if it sells out, I'm not going to cry about it. But I've thought about getting that. I think that would be a fun one to have. I thought the Huskies Nordiques jersey was nice. I know there's a lot of people don't like it. I thought it was nice. That was the rebrand they were going to do, but then they moved to Denver instead. Thoughts on Marner doing a 2-year deal? Take advantage of a huge payday when the cap spikes? I don't think he'll be the only one. I think we'll see that. But I have talked for years on the channel about how I like shorter term contracts. I like 4-year deals. I think it gives maximum income potential for players, and it allows teams to move on from players if they need to, right? I think the 8-year contracts are fine in some cases. I think there's too many of them. I think 4-year deals are better, but that's me personally. Are the Rangers going to make the playoffs next year? They plan to. They so far have not moved that number 12 draft pick to Pittsburgh. They have that option, but I believe the indications are they're going to use it. So there's no way that they're going to do that if they don't plan to be a playoff team next year. They're not going to want to lose a potential top 10 or a lottery pick in what should be an excellent draft next year. So that's the plan. All right, so 13-point lead currently for OKC with 4:34 left. Now 14-point lead. They're pretty much home and cold here. Did I ever see a Vancouver Canadians baseball team? Well, the Canadians are still playing. I haven't gone to a Vancouver Canadians game. My wife's not a baseball fan. I would not subject her to a baseball game. I would enjoy it. I would enjoy going to a Vancouver Canadians game. I know the tickets are relatively cheap, and I enjoy a good baseball game. So I would absolutely go. But I know my wife's not a baseball fan. My favorite unused jersey. Unused by a team, I'm assuming you mean. It's a shame St. Louis never used the trumpets. That jersey with the trumpets on it, that Mike Keenan was like, we're not wearing that. Kind of a shame. I would like to have seen that and to have had a CCM version of that. I know there's knockoff reproductions of that jersey, but it was never actually produced for retail. So that's too bad, because that would be the ugliest jersey in the collection by a good fair margin. I'd be very happy. Well, that's a hot take I have for this offseason. Players are going to get overpaid, and I could see a situation where Florida is just as strong next year as they were this year. The one thing that's going to work against Florida is going to be eventually your body just breaks down from all that extra hockey. That's part of the reason why you don't see teams dominating for 4, 5, 6 years. Is it's exhausting. All that extra hockey and a shorter off season, it eventually catches up with you. Best deal on a jersey I ever got. Long-term subscribers would know the answer to this. Dick's made a mistake. Dick's Sporting Goods had jerseys on for $10 or less with names on the back. So I got all of them, and they shipped all of them. I didn't think they would, because it clearly was an error, because that price changed within a few hours of me ordering them, but I got them. So yeah, the Kucherov jersey, the Forsberg Nashville jersey, my Carlson San Jose jersey, they were all like less than $10 each. Absolutely ridiculous. How do I not get burned out? The second channel helps. And then during the off season, what helps is having a variety of topics I can cover. During the regular season, it can be tough, but I kind of keep my eye towards, the future and what I'm doing next. And I do countdowns to certain big events, whether it's Christmas, whether it's a trip. And I keep myself sane a little bit that way. But I do take little breaks here and there too. My GTA talk earlier, favorite 3 to 5 video games of all time. Defender off the Atari 2600 would have to be on the list. Smash Brothers Melee would be on the list. Gran Turismo Sport that I'm still playing. I think GTA 5 has to be on the list as well. And then NHL 07. NHL 07 would be my favorite of all the NHL games. I'm not everybody else is NHL 94. You can keep 94. I wasn't a huge fan of 94. NHL 07, that to me was where it was perfect. Right before they went to the PlayStation 3. What's the long and short of the Montreal Expos demise? They weren't making any money. They weren't generating enough money. So they started off with splitting their home dates. And once Montreal wasn't playing all their home dates in Montreal, you knew they were done. So sadly, the team got moved. But yeah, the Montreal Expos were an excellent team that a lockout may have robbed them of a championship. Do I get cabin fever working from home 7 days a week? Sometimes. But I mean, I do try to, especially at this time of year where it's nice out. I go out in the backyard and hang out with the rabbits sometimes when it's nice out there. I go out, walk around a little bit. There was a day a couple weeks ago where I just took my ball and stick out in the front yard and just batted the ball around a little bit. Yeah, I just have to find ways to keep myself busy. How bad do I think Pittsburgh will be? The Penguins? This coming season, I think they'll probably be about the same as last season, maybe a little bit worse. They want McKenna. They're going to be one of those teams that really wants McKenna. So Pittsburgh won't be in any hurry to be a lot better this year. All right, player strike. Yeah, 94 Montreal Expos. Such a shame. That's true. 81 Montreal was pretty good too. I remember that was with Steve Rogers as their pitcher. Steve Rogers was my favorite pitcher at that point in time. I always had favorite pitchers. Like my favorite baseball players were always pitchers. So like Jimmy Key was my favorite pitcher for a long time. But Greg Maddux, probably the best pitcher I ever saw in terms of pitch placement. It was always absolutely spot on. Greg Maddux knew exactly where to throw a ball. So while I wasn't a huge Braves fan, I loved their rotation. Their pitching rotation was ridiculous. It is a crime they didn't win more World Series. Is there an Indiana player that hasn't been hurt in this game? It seems like every time there's an Indiana player getting hurt. So what happened here? So he just all right. Am I gonna have a recap of every NHL season? Well, I mean, I did every season recap. I'm going to recap this season as well, and add that to the playlist, and then I'll be able to do that each year. Obviously, there's not much point in me doing it right now, but during the summer, I will absolutely get that video done and add it to the playlist. No, 94 Montreal was winning that. I was absolutely convinced that they were winning it. So since we'll never know for sure, I'll still say Montreal would have won it. Okay, so it's still a 12-point lead for Oklahoma City, and we're down to 3 minutes left. I would say one more basket salts this away. Don't go for the 3. I said don't go for the 3. Oh, they got the rebound, though, and the foul. Nicely done with 2:47 left. And Smoltz. I love that Smoltz went from being an ace and a fantastic starter to being a closer. And it was seamless. He went from being an excellent starter to being a fantastic closer. I don't know that I've ever seen a pitcher that's been that good at both roles. Did I watch Cliff Ronning when he played for New Westminster? No, I didn't follow junior hockey at that point in time, sadly. Is Tkachuk the best? Tkachuk trade the best in Florida's history? Probably. And then Gustav Forsling would be their best waiver wire pickup ever. He's one of the best waiver wire pickups in the NHL ever. And as a Canucks fan, I'm still kind of bitter about it. Would have been nice to have Forsling in Vancouver. That's the kind of defense that they've needed for forever. So, will I try to make it out to a PWHL game at the Pacific Coliseum? I know Yvonne and Adelaide will definitely go. The boys will probably want to go as well. What does St. Louis offer sheet players more than 50% of the time compared to the rest of the NHL? They're willing to take the risk. Other teams just don't take the risk like St. Louis does. But this year we may get that risk. There you go. Yeah, 12-point lead again with 2:22 left. I think we can say this one's done. any chance of Bennett to Detroit, they'd probably end up having to overpay for him. I think Bennett in Florida figure out a way for him to stay there. I'd be kind of surprised if he doesn't stay. But if he leaves, the asking price is going to be 9 to 10 million a year, and I don't know that Detroit would get full value from that. Do I have anything else that I'm as passionate about as sports and hockey? Writing. I haven't done any novel writing in a long time. It's something Yvonne and I have been talking about. I want to find a way to do writing in a way that it won't eat up the rest of my time. So I won't be just doing, the YouTube videos and stuff like that. And then, I want to make sure that I'm still conversing with and spending time with my wife. But I love writing. I think the greatest rush I've ever had is when I finish a book. When I reach that last word of the book and I go, done. And it feels great. I even did National Novel Writing Month, which is November. I twice was able to do, I think it was 50,000 words in 30 days. And so then you print out your little form saying that you did it. Of course, it's you don't have to prove that you did it. You just get the form. But I was pretty proud of myself for that. That was, yeah, I miss writing. And I feel like my characters from Into the Void are talking in my head. They want me to write about them again. So we'll see. What trade as a fan of Vancouver did I not understand and still don't? Jared McCann. McCann was exactly what the team wanted, and they traded him. I'm still not happy about it. One of the first videos on the channel was Jared McCann's traded, and I'm not happy. I'm still not happy. And then when they traded Forsling, I mean, it was kind of a throw-in. It's like Canuck fans knew Forsling was going to be a good defenseman, and they moved him because, well, he's not ready yet, and this is a player who's more in our age range. That's when Jim Benning was busy blowing the team up. So just really frustrating. Ever think of doing a video of reading something you've written? I've got a series on this channel of me reading series parts 1 through 3 of Into the Void, which we started during pandemic because we had lots of time at home. Nothing was going on. So I started reading my books then. I may do a reading of Run on the channel. I may do a reading of other Into the Void books as well. I may do a reading of the 5th part, which is Violation, because the next part would be part 6, unless I did a reboot. I don't think I'm going to do a reboot. If I did reboot it, I would probably go through a publisher and actually properly get it done. But if I go through a publisher and like, oh, you're the hockey guy, all right, and I tell them it's fiction, there'd probably be but I don't know if we could make money on that. Can you talk about your journey as a YouTuber? Fine. I've never enjoyed nonfiction as much. Yeah, Virtanen over McCann was a mistake at the time. Like, Virtanen turned out to be just so much of a headache and his own worst enemy. And McCann, I guess, had a reputation in the locker room for being kind of cocky, but he's able to back it up a little bit. So, yeah, it sucks. He's depth down the middle too. The Canucks would have liked to have had. Yeah, I was glad to get that calendar too. I buy calendars even though I don't really have many places to put said calendars. So, and this picture in the corner, actually, this is kind of funny. This is actress from Legends of Tomorrow who played Zari. And I have a picture of her on this set, and I have a picture of her that she autographed to me on the other set as well that was meant to be used and will at some point be used for this channel. I kind of consider it my good luck charm. So if anybody's ever wondered what that picture is of, it's the actress who played Zari on Legends of Tomorrow, whose name should not escape me, and it does, and I'm going to kick myself later, but it does. Now it's a 14-point lead, and there's 1 minute and 4 seconds left. I think we can say this one's done. They're 5 for 13 on 3-point field goals, but the Pacers are 2 for 6. That's insane. Yeah, the Pacers had a 1-point lead going into the second half, and Oklahoma City's just destroyed them since then. When should you expect the Preds to make the playoffs again? Probably not this season. I think it's the McKenna rule. I think there's teams that might have gone for it that won't. Because Nashville was talking about, like Barry Trotz was talking about, retooling and being aggressive. He seems to have changed his mind on that. It's probably the McKenna thing. But maybe the year after this coming season, so 2027, you might see Nashville back in the playoffs. Favorite slasher horror movie? Freddy versus Jason. It's just ridiculous and fun. I love Freddy versus Jason. And yes, the draft is Friday. Band power ranking by decade of all time. I will do a ranking of my favorite bands. I also think that when I'm doing the song list, there are certain songs that I'm like, okay, I can't include that because there's going to be too many songs from this band. So I'll also do an album playlist where I go through and pick out albums that are my all-time favorites. So I will have plenty of content when it comes to music. Plenty. But yeah, I'll be doing my favorite songs. The list that I have on Spotify is up to about 1,350. My goal was 2,000. I don't think I'm going to get to 2,000, but I'm also going through, and like last night when we were at a hockey game, there were songs come out. I was like, not on the list. So I look it up on Spotify, add it to the list. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm just, songs will come on. And I go, that needs to be on the list. Yeah. I love a good album. I've always loved a good album. Like just this last couple of weeks, I realized my Led Zeppelin CDs have kind of gone missing in all the moves we've made. So I had to get Zeppelin 3, and I got like the most recent double album of their greatest hits. My favorite Zeppelin album is Zeppelin 3, but it's a good example of how I don't know that there's individual songs I'd put on a favorite song list, just that album has a really good feel to it. It's a great traveling album, like Pearl Jam's 10. I don't know how many songs on 10 I would necessarily have on a favorites list, but that album as a whole is fantastic. Great traveling music. Any Taylor Swift? I don't think so. I am debating about whether or not to include a song of hers or two on the list. A lot of the female vocalists songs are going to be from the 80s, or it'll be Billie Eilish, Dua Lipa, stuff like that. Charlie XCX as well. Have a listen to Eminem. I had the Eminem show. I really like Eminem songs in general. That reminds me, D12. I don't have any D12 songs on my list. Thanks for the reminder. D12 has to be on my list, as I'm going to kick myself if D12 doesn't have any songs on the list. Oklahoma City wins 103-91. What a game. What a night for Oklahoma City. Congratulations to the Thunder. They're the champions. They won it in 7. I respect a game 7. I love a game 7. Any chance of being a guest on Dropping the Gloves podcast with John Scott? I haven't had any kind of invite. And that's the thing. Like during the playoffs too, I didn't have anything from the media. And I do wonder if that's because the last couple of times media's reached out to me, I've said no. And it's just Canadian media. It's not American media. It's Canadian media. The last couple of times they've reached out to me, I've said no. In one case, I was just busy. I didn't have the time. And in another instance, I just flat out told them I wasn't happy with the way I'd been portrayed the last time that I was interviewed. And so I said no. And the reporter got back to me and totally understood, because I told her, I gave her my reasoning, and she totally understood. She said, Nick, no, because I felt disrespected. I feel like traditional media kind of treat YouTubers and influencers like, well, isn't that cute? And then, oh, that's so cute. It's so, look at that. That's so, it's like, we're not kids, and we have valid opinions here, and we're not freaks of nature. And so some of the way that it gets gets talked about with traditional media when they're talking about influencers is irritating. Pretty irritating. Any chance I show up in a scene for the new season of Shoresy? I straight up told them at one point, if they ever wanted me to do any kind of cameo, anything at all, even just a video where I'm cursing and swearing about what a jerk Shoresy is or how stupid I was like, I'll do it. I didn't get anything back. So totally willing to, I would hop on a plane, go down there for a day, shoot whatever. Jared Kiso can punch me in the head. I don't care. It's fine with me. But I mean that. Like if Jared Kiso like, I'm gonna hit you, I'd be like, all right, just do it, just get it over with. I'd be honored by that black eye. And then that's a topic of conversation when I came back to work in the set. So I haven't heard from them, and that's fine. I don't have any formal acting training, and it's fine. I'm not nearby either, so it's kind of a headache. I do wonder sometimes if I had done all this and if I'd lived in Toronto or just in Ontario in general, if I would have had more opportunity. So, but anyways, I'm going to get going, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Thanks for tuning in. So congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And yeah, we will do this again soon enough. So take care.